you folks? Thanks so much for joining us here for Joe Talks, the hunt for the greatest movie ever, where we are focusing directly and entirely on the Best Picture nominees for the 2021 Academy Awards. Wherever you're watching in the world, thank you so much for joining us. Please like the channel, subscribe, and please do all those lovely things to share it around so we can get as many eyes on this as possible. I have a lot of wonderful guests that are coming back for this week, plus an extra special one who is here for the first time, and he's a little bit hungover. And it's I can see him smirking backstage. Good old Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I ruined it. He looks like Joseph Gordon-Levitt is the joke I was going for. But yeah, we'll be discussing Judas and the Black Messiah, The Father, Nomadland, and The Trial of the Chicago 7. If you want to check out the other nominated films, which we discussed last week, that's on my YouTube, so you can check out that there. But please stick with us for the next 2 hours or so, where we'll be breaking this down. In case you're wondering, we will be doing an entirely spoiler full, so we will be telling everything we possibly know about the film, plus more. So please be aware of that before we go into check it out. And that is, I think, basically it. So wherever you are, thanks so much. Get in the comments. Be there for the entire night. Have a few glasses of wine. A couple of our guests that are on are partaking in the alcoholic beverages. So please join them on that. And yeah, spread the love. So welcome on. We've the wonderful Conor Burke, Nicole O'Connor, Jamie MacKinlay, Sean Burke, and Pat Byrne. All big film fans, all film lovers, and a lot of great insights. So welcome on now, guys. And this is going to be a fun 2 hours. So Conor, Nicole, Jamie, Sean, Pat. Thanks so much. We're here. You are back. This is all wonderful. And also for the fact that this is quite a sporting day in it, for the fact that sports have been breaking my heart, Jamie's heart, maybe about 4% of Sean's heart. Conor and Nicole have never heard of football, and Pat played hurling till he was 12, so I think he has some insight. And I remember him jokingly on Instagram saying that he supported Liverpool, even though I don't believe that to be true. But yeah, I do. So we, in case you were living on a rock, there is the Super League that have been taking over football, which everyone's discussing right now. So to kind of encapsulate that into the movie world as well, I have put a question to the guys here, which I'm thinking to you guys as well at home. Before we get into the films, is what is your favorite sports movie? Get in the comments with them, but I don't want to go to Conor first because I really want to know what he knows, so I'm going to end on that. So I'm going to go to Jamie, since I know you're a 100% football fan. I'm going to go to you first. What is your favorite sports movie of all time?
So I thought a good one to choose. I was going to say Rocky, which would be a boring answer. The Damned United is a great film, and it's very much about the soul of football and about what football was meant to be about. Brian Clough. It's a great film, and a very, very sad day for football.
Very sad day. And
sport in general. So.
Yeah. I love The Damned United, and it's complete bullshit of a film. Like, it's all lies. Yeah. But Peter Morgan wrote it, and Michael Sheen is phenomenal as Brian Clough. And it's really terrific movie making and performances, but it's all lies, and they got into a lot of trouble for it. But who cares? The lies are the secondary when it comes to sports. Sean, coming to you now. A one-time Arsenal fan, full-time banterful man.
That's me.
That's you, baby. What's your favorite sports movie?
Well, you got me thinking. And I remember a film that I used to be on. You know, those films just seemed like they were constantly on TV in your childhood. And one of those I used to watch all the time was Kingpin. Do you remember that?
Oh, with Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, the bowling movie. And I just now I haven't seen it in a long time, but I do remember being containing sport for starters, which is good for this question, being quite funny, and also some of the things just being quite shocking about it, like the bit where he actually gets his hand shoved in the bowling ball polishing machine. I'm pretty sure that happens early on in the movie, but it's something that I'd like to rewatch again in the near future. I think it's one of those films that I don't think I've ever seen like the full way through, but I've seen clips, and Bill Murray plays an incredible villain in that. And he has a great line, and he's just like, I think it was improvised, he was like, "Hey, you," to a girl, and then this one turns around and he goes, no, not you, her. And it's just real smarmy and real awful, and perfect Bill Murray. I'm going to keep down the line. I'm going to go to the terrific Pat Byrne, who is living in Austin, which is, I presume, all I know about Texas is like God and football. So is there a movie in that line of work that you're thinking of, or is it something outside of that? And you're muted.
Wait there.
There we go. Now you're safe. Yeah, go for it.
Do I need to control that muting thing? Okay.
Yeah.
I forgot to think about this question, and it's probably a boring answer, but I love the movie Warrior with Nick Nolte and Tom Hardy. That broke my heart, that movie. And do you know the movie Goon with is it Sean? Who's that guy from American Pie? Sean
William Scott.
Yeah, he did like a great hockey movie called Goon, and it's like hilarious but really good, like unexpectedly good. So maybe that's a more interesting answer.
They're two very good answers. I will say Warrior is one of those films that I've always heard about, but I've never actually got a chance to see it, and it's never been spoiled for me. So my heart did jump out of my throat there for a second that I thought you were going to do it. But thanks for that. Very much appreciated. Yeah, I will. Fine. Okay, we'll close this now and I'll go watch it, Pat. Is that what you want from me?
Yes.
We'll keep going now with two people who I'm not even sure know how to spell sports, but we can fingers crossed. Nicole, for yourself.
Oh God, but I like see Sean's answer made me realize that bowling is a sport, so I know one sport and I'm like, can I change my answer to the Big Lebowski like really quick? No, I think my favorite sport movie would be Bend It Like Beckham, which is a film about football. I know football from that.
That is a great answer.
Thank you. Yeah.
To be fair, like that started Keira Knightley's career. You want it played Bend It Like Beckham. I don't know her name, but she, yeah, she did films afterwards. Fair play to her. And your man, who was the Irish guy that's in it? That's apparently a bit
Jonathan Rhys-Meyers.
Jonathan Rhys-Meyers.
Yeah,
he has a brilliant moment in that film where, like, the main character, she's talking about how, she's discriminated against because she's Indian, and Jonathan Rhys-Meyers is like, of course I understand what it's like to experience racism. I'm Irish. It just aged beautifully.
we were a lot sweeter then, weren't we?
Yeah.
My favorite part of that movie is when they're playing. He's playing cricket at the end with her dad, and he just throws it wrong, and they're like, "You're doing it wrong," and he just does a football celebration to celebrate. I'm like, "Yeah, you do it." And when he goes to her, it's like, you tackle America at Christmas, and then at the summer we'll tackle your dad about the two of them being together. I was like, Jesus Christ.
It's such a good movie. Yeah, movie. I actually met the director, Gorinda Chadna. Definitely not the reason why I picked this film. No, I just wanted to say, because I worked in the Lighthouse Cinema for several months, and you'd think you'd meet loads of celebrities there. No, but I met her, and she was lovely. And she did Blinded by the Light, which came out like last year. I think it's on Netflix, and it's a good movie. Highly recommend. She's still around.
She's still hanging in there. Oh, that's great. Good
still hanging in there.
It's a good film.
It is okay. There we go. It got the Jamie McKinlay seal of approval. And to just about see us out, I've full money on Space Jam for this answer, and that's a perfectly good answer if it is. Conor Burke, what is your sports movie?
My sports movie is $1 Million Baby.
Oh, that's a really good answer. I feel bad for making
fun of you. Yeah, fucking got you there, didn't I, Joe? I'm a Renaissance man. Hilary Swank, where is she? Justice for Hilary Swank. She is fucking amazing in that movie. And isn't it directed by
Clint Eastwood?
Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I on paper wouldn't be something I was into, but when you said that today in the group chat, I immediately thought about it. I think it's excellent.
That's actually quite interesting because Pat chose $1 Million Baby.
I wish I said that.
Pat had $1 Million Baby in his bracket of films to watch, and he chose that as his favorite.
I mean, when you say sports movie, I just think of the Mighty Ducks and, like, The Longest Yard and all those things.
True.
So, $1 Million Baby is a good answer. I love that movie.
Great movie. For me, I'm stuck between, like, Rocky. For me, it's like the greatest of all time, but Jamie kind of poo-pooed that by saying it's too easy. So I'm gonna go with. It's still good. It's still great, but I'm gonna go Remember the Titans. I think that was like a real coming of age movie for. It was year 2000. It was like Denzel Washington. I had like loads of like up and coming actors like Donald Faison, who was in Scrubs. Ryan Gosling's in it. Other people. And they all sort of that was like kind of a launch pad for them. Obviously, Donald Faison was also in Sabrina the Teenage Witch before anyone comes at me. But I haven't seen that in years. But it was just it was kind of so cheesy, but so brilliant as well. But one of the cheesiest moments in it is actually less cheesy than what happened in real life. Do you know the scene when he's like, only family are allowed visit when he's in the car accident? And he's like, don't you see? That's my brother. Going to see the family resemblance. And like, because he's black and he's white. And it's like, oh, that's cute. But actually what happened was in real life is when he got injured, the whole team came to visit. And there was like only family around. And he was like, they are my family. And kind of just went around the room like that and saying, these are my family. So that's even more cheesy. So maybe they made the right decision on that. But yeah, great movies all around. Great films all around. I'd have to say, actually, $1 Million Baby, I think, won that. Really. So well done, Connor. But we're going to move on now. We have, of course, we're here to talk about the other 4 Best Picture nominated films. Which are this week, are Judas and the Black Messiah, Nomadland, The Trial of the Chicago 7, and The Father. And we're going to open this discussion by discussing Nomadland. And wherever you're watching, please get your thoughts in the comments on what you think about each one of these films. So the first one we're going to is Nomadland. And Nomadland, obviously nominated for Best Picture, Best Actress for Frances McDormand, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Film Editing for Chloe Zhao, and Best Cinematography. Connor, of the names from this film, which one kind of stands out to you the most prior to watching this film?
Frances McDormand, which is probably the obvious choice. I've only actually seen her in one movie, as far as I can remember, which is 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. I was flying to America a couple of years ago, and I was watching it on the flight. Fucking loved it. So it was amazing to see her in that. So she'd probably be the only recognizable name involved with this that I recognize. Okay.
Nicole, for yourself?
Yeah, I guess Frances McDormand really is and it's just kind of the nature of the film that she's the standout, she's the famous one. I love her so much. She's actually like, I fancy her loads. She's probably my weirdest crush, even though she is lovely. Yeah, her as the nun in Madeline just does it for me. I don't know why. Or in Fargo. But yeah, no, she's obviously great. And this isn't really a film about, star power, all this kind of stuff. The great thing about this film are the kind of the real people in it. So it was really interesting experience to watch.
Absolutely. Pat, I presume it's going to be Frances McDormand again.
And I mean, she kind of is one of the only actors in the movie, isn't she? And so,
yes.
But Chloe Zhao, because I live in Texas, and she had that movie The Rider, which was big over here because it's about the Texas rodeo thing, which I loved as well. So I was familiar with Chloe Zhao, and I was excited for this one.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, and she's really, after kind of exploding with the fact that she has 3 nominations for one of her first films, which is absolutely huge. But Sean, coming to you, I presume it's Frances McDormand again.
Yes, Joe. Frances McDormand, final answer, please. No, I agree. But like I say, she is quite iconic at this stage. She's in so many Coen Brothers movies as well. I think she's married to one of the Coen Brothers, actually. And
all of them. She shares them.
That's very forward thinking of them. But yeah, they're always quite memorable. So just having and as Connor mentioned, was it 3 Billboards? She was fantastic in that. So yeah, it's got to be her.
Cool. And Jamie, for yourself?
Yeah, same as everyone else. Frances McDormand, obviously Fargo and 3 Billboards. She's a fantastic actor, and it was really cool to see her in this film. Very good performance.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, kind of going into this movie, it was the one I heard about without even really knowing anything about it before going in, because I've been so kind of overworked from doing the podcast that I never got an opportunity to I don't know what the favorite is going into. I still don't really know what the favorite is going into this year's Oscars. But this one kind of kept on popping up as being the one everyone had to see and kind of the masterpiece of this year. The Roma from a couple of years ago was kind of the real filmmaker's movie. So when going in to see it, I was going into that mindset, and I'm really confused about how I feel about this movie, because I don't know if it was hyped up too much. But I think it's beautiful to look at. And I think there's certain moments where I feel so much, but I also found it hard to get dragged in by it. I found it difficult to connect with it. at times because I think it's so slow. And I think it's so beautiful and so scenic, like I said. In some moments you're in it, but I think there's other moments that are more difficult. But O'Connor, come to you first on what are your thoughts on the film as a whole?
I loved this film. I think it's probably, out of all, put it this way, there's another film that we're going to be talking about tonight that people probably got really emotional by. But this was probably the movie out of all 8 of them that I was really moved by. I just thought it was brilliantly shot. It's really kind of life affirming, and I'm mad for that shit. Like, my favorite genre of movies, coming of age movies, I love them. Do you know, when it's about a girl like going off to New York City to find herself, I'm mad into that shit. Like Saoirse Ronan and Lady Bird. So this movie gave me those kind of vibes. Frances McDormand was amazing. I thought, like, I was interested in how it was shot. I unlike Joe, I knew nothing about this movie going in. Absolutely nothing, was going in completely blind. But she was fantastic in it. I ended up researching it a little bit afterwards, and was just really moved by it. It's probably one of my favorite movies out of everything nominated this year.
Okay, wow, very interesting, very, very interesting. Nicole, same question over to you. And you're muted. And you're muted.
Am I unmuted? I got the notification. Right. Yeah, no, I have to. I'm more on Conor's side with this one. It's obviously a very simple story, and one that, you know, we're familiar with as an audience, and like we understand it's a woman searching for, you know, and there's films like Into the Wild and other things like that about people getting in touch with nature and everything. But something about this, I just found it really touching and beautiful, and I think a lot of it does have to do with the way that it was shot. It's shot like almost in a kind of videography kind of way, like it's all the shots are like ultra wide, and even though the backgrounds are like really kind of just kind of normal scenic stuff, it's beautiful, but the way it's shot, it just makes it look so gorgeous and exceptional. I do have to say though, like, I don't think this film would be the same if they had just cast actors for all of the characters. I think the real heart of this movie is all the other is like the real people, and that kind of hybrid of documentary and movie that really elevates it. Because obviously I was watching this film first and I totally forgot that they had this whole thing about there was real people telling their stories, and I was like, Jesus, these people are such amazing actors. And I realized, like, you know, actors can't really do this. There's a very distinct difference when you see someone telling their real story and, you know, the greatest of actors out there. And yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I don't know if it's my favorite of this year. It's definitely not like, you know, the best film I've seen in the last 5 years or anything like that. But I really enjoyed it for what it was, and I found it quite touching.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a couple of, before I get on to Pat, there was a couple of interesting things that you guys have brought up, which I didn't realize this till I did the best adapted screenplay. This is an adapted screenplay episode with Gary Deegan, is that everyone in this effectively are in some ways playing themselves. David, I can't pronounce his second name, who plays the somewhat love interest, we'll say his real name is David. Frances McDormand's nickname in real life is Fern. The majority, which is her name in this film, the majority of people that are in this are real people dealing with real issues, it is effectively, it is in all intents and purposes, it's a documentary, you know, more so than anything else. Like you said, Nicole. So I think it does blur that lines fantastically. And it's so beautiful in how it shows the American countryside and how it shows what these people go through every day to just live the lives they're choosing to live. And I agree with you. It's incredibly fascinating. But Pat, we'll go to you next. And you're muted.
Yeah, I absolutely loved this movie. Like Nicole said, it's probably not my favorite either, but I adored it. I think it's such an ambitious thing to cast people as themselves, and they were all amazing, so vulnerable. Frances McDormand is so understated the whole way through. It really does feel like a fly on the wall documentary. I can imagine how amazing Frances must have been and patient with those people to draw out those performances, and Chloe Zhao as well. I feel like she could probably win Best Director because of how amazing it must have been so challenging, I can imagine. I just thought it was gorgeous. It looked beautiful. And yeah, I know Clint Eastwood tried to do the cast people as themselves thing on the 15/17 to Paris. Has anyone seen that movie? No. It's the worst. Like, he cast the 3 people who like saved this train from terrorists, and he cast the 3 actual guys who did it, and they just couldn't act at all, and it was horrific, like a real train wreck. And all like the extra characters, it was a train wreck. All the extra characters were actual actors, and they were clever here because Frances is so strong, and she's the anchoring performance, and it just allowed everyone to kind of be themselves and open up and tell actual stories that I just thought were really touching and life affirming, as Conor said. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this one.
Yeah. Wow, yeah, it's getting a lot of love. And Elliot, the wonderful Elliot's in the comments. Frances McDormand is such a badass and an incredible actress. Yes, you put it perfectly, Elliot. And Elliot is the editor for Jamie's podcast, Just Get a Real Podcast. And actually, since Elliot,
just get a real job.
Just get a real job. Yeah, I'm just gonna let you come in next since Elliot's watching, and you can give him a little shout out as well.
I don't need to give him a shout out. He knows he's appreciated. No, I think just reiterate the love for this film. Yeah, I just finished watching it about 2 hours ago, but it was really good. Really enjoyed it. I didn't actually realize that they were all real. They weren't actors and there are a lot of real people in it. But that makes a lot of sense, and I thought it was really moving. It was a really good depiction of grief. Actually, I really liked the way it dealt with grief. I think a lot of people can relate to that as well, especially in the moment. And no, it's just really beautiful. Like, look at America as well. I think we can all sort of imagine like why we'd want to get away from the real world at times. So yeah, no, I really, really enjoyed it. I don't think it's my favorite out of the 8 nominations, but it's definitely up there. If it won Best Picture, I wouldn't be annoyed at it winning. I think it's filmmaking at its finest. Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Jesus, very high praise. Considering how we started last week with everyone kind of like, oh God, this is going to be opposite. Sean, for yourself to see us out?
Nomadland. Where to begin, Joe? For starters, Frances McDormand is absolutely in this movie. It is set in America, and I have loved the bits of this movie that I have seen so far. So it's got a double thumbs up from me.
Oh my God, that was beautiful. Okay. I'm not going to let anyone in yet on what, but you're doing great. This is great. Yeah, we'll keep going around. So it's getting so much praise from everyone and people in the comments as well. People are watching. For you, Conor, what is it that drew you in to, like? Was it the fact that the way it was made, it was very intimate? Was the story? What was it that made it that special movie for
you? Frances McDormand made it fucking amazing for me. That's the obvious answer. But it was so intimate as well. Like, you felt like felt like almost kind of voyeuristic, if you know what I mean. Like, you felt like you were spying on them. I thought it was really well shot. Was just kind of related to her character in a way that, like, she's someone that's always like, she can't really settle and she wants to like see what's out there. She has this scene with her sister, and her sister talking to her. She was like, when you were in high school, like, you, like, the second you fucking graduated high school, like, you just wanted to go, and within 6 months you were engaged to someone, and like how she's always like looking ahead and she wants to see what's over there and she can't settle. I found that quite relatable. I think that Frances McDormand could have, I presume that she's nominated. Yeah, she is.
Yes.
But I think she could have a really, really good chance of winning Best Actress because of the like universe that the movie is set in. Like, it's obviously fiction, but it's not. And the people in it are real people, and they're playing a character of themselves. And so, like, will the Academy take into consideration like how her as an actual actress worked through that and engaged with those people to bring them on board and to try to get their vision of her as an Oscar-winning actress out of her head. Like, I just think that's, I'd love to know more about that aspect of it. So it was mostly her, but I thought it was shot beautifully as well. And I really just love this movie. Again, it probably isn't my favorite out of the 8, but it's definitely up there.
Sean, there's a question here from James C for you. Did Sean Burke enjoy the scene of Frances McDormand using her 9-gallon pail as a toilet? Could he discuss the nuances of her acting in that scene? He didn't say please, so you don't have to do it.
No, it was, I mean, where to begin, Joe? A tour de force. It stuck in my mind, certainly. And I'm not going to forget seeing something like that. Clearly. I've obviously seen that happen. And boy, it left a mark on me. Shout out to the sound department as well. They're doing an excellent job recording the sound.
I think with Sean Burke's quick verdict of Nomadland, it seems like Sean didn't get the forwarded email from Joe. Thanks very much, Elliot. And great. Yeah, spot on again. Nicole, for yourself, what is it about this movie that made it that bit special for you?
I feel like I already kind of answered myself, but I feel like the way that it's shot, it's just shot so beautifully. I have no idea how Chloe Zhao did this, because just everything about it, it just seems like it's just so simple, and it's, I don't know, it's just like this lovely little movie. What else was I going to say? Yeah, I was looking into just a tiny bit of how this was filmed, and from what I can gather, they basically just went out across America and shot like thousands of hours of footage and just were talking to these nomads, and they didn't always say that, you know, Frances McDormand was an actress. And apparently some of the people that are in this film, the real people, sometimes they didn't even know that she was an actress, and they thought that she was this character. And then I think there's one scene where she's talking about, when she's talking about her dead husband, and then the guy is talking about the death in his life, and then afterwards Frances McDormand had to be like, I'm so sorry, but my husband's alive, his name is Joel Cohen, he's a movie director, I'm an actress. Which Ooh. I think is, yeah, I know. Oh, it's like, I gave you all of that. You haven't been through this drama. Which I feel like maybe that's the secret to how this film works and how the performances are so good. They didn't do like the Clint Eastwood thing. They're like, okay, you're going to be an actor now, do your acting. They literally just like turn the cameras on. But yeah, and I think I'd love to see more films now be made with that same formula, and see what comes of that, because I think they're onto something here. There's something about it that really worked.
I completely agree with you. And just before I move on to go to Pat, just as an actor yourself looking at this, do you feel that a part of her is being nominated for what she put herself through? Kind of reminiscent of Leo DiCaprio in Revenant? Or do you feel like it is like, it does have the nuances of being a special performance too? Or is it just what she did, for the fact that she, as is mentioned by James C., she did shit in a bucket?
She did that shit. She did. I think it's a really interesting performance to get nominated, because she's really such a passive character in this. I know the whole film is centered around her story, but like so many scenes with these, and some of the best scenes in this film are like her just listening, and I think that's such an important thing for actors to do, and I think just on that basis alone, like to be a passive participant in a scene and be able to like act your way through that and not be all about you is something like really important. And like, you can do a great performance with that in mind. So I like that she's nominated for this performance.
Yeah, wonderful point. Pat, for yourself, you said that I've not seen anything by Chloe Zhao before. Did you say the film was called The Rider, the previous one? How does this compare? Does this feel like a level up from what she's done before, or does it feel like it's in the same sort of not same universe, but it feels like it's the same director, if that makes sense.
Oh, it's absolutely in the same universe. It's getting obviously a lot more exposure, and I think it's a better movie. I enjoyed it even more. But The Rider's another beautiful, slow movie that you just kind of let wash over you. Has a lot of people playing themselves. She used that technique again. And so, yeah, she's definitely a type of filmmaker so far. And I enjoyed Nomadland more, but I would encourage you, if you liked it, to watch The Rider too. It's another beautiful, character-driven movie.
Sean, we already had your go on it. We got your nuanced thoughts of her going into the bucket. So if you want to add more to it, absolutely. I want to hear what else you feel about what makes it special.
The movie in general.
Yeah.
Well, point, yeah. Oh God. Frances McDormand, did I mention she's in this?
Never actually. You haven't actually mentioned that at all.
And she's very good at acting. The landscape from the 2 minutes of the trailer looked spectacular.
Yes, absolutely. By the way, if anyone hasn't picked up on this, Sean is yet to actually see the movie, but he's assured me that he's seen the trailer.
How dare you? Yeah, okay. But like 2 or 3 times. So
yeah, that's good. That's
good as watching the whole thing.
Gluey employs neo-realistic filmmaking, which her uses of non-actors. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great shout, James. Completely. It reminds me. There's a similar film that came out of American Animals, which I thought was incredible, and it has Barry Keoghan from Ireland, and what's your man who plays Quicksilver? The good one, Evan Peters, yeah. And it's a mix of a documentary with a live action film, and it's told beautifully in kind of like a stream of conscious sort of filmmaking technique of doing it. And I thought that was shafted at the Oscars a couple of years ago, but by using non-actors and stuff like that, and the way it's used so quietly and so timidly in that way, I think it's just spectacular. So Jamie, for yourself, go for it. Oh my God, an actual point. Oh my God. Guys, everyone, Sean is going to make a point. Everyone relax. Oh my God, I'm shaking.
No, the Safdie brothers do that as well in their films. They have non-actors in them, people who they've written the roles with in mind, knowing that they're not actors, and they still put them in. Like their last movie, what was it? Absolute anxiety attack of a film.
Uncut Gems.
That's it. Yeah. A lot of the guys actually working in that district in the movie were really doing those jobs. So yeah, they're fans of that too.
Yeah, I actually saw him in a recent movie recently enough, and he was really bad in it. What's that one? Piece of a Woman. Very depressing. Don't watch that movie. It's horrific in a good way. Was it Michael Green? Bonjour from Montreal. Bonjour, Michael. Don't know why I did that. Let's hope we can travel soon. Hopefully, Chloe Zhao's next film at The Eternals. That's right, a Marvel movie. Quite a jump. Be safe. Thank you, Michael, so much for commenting and for tuning in. That is a complete departure from what we could even imagine Chloe Zhao has done. But like with Taika Waititi coming in to do Thor, obviously he's done comedies before, so that fits a bit. But like, but Chloe Zhao coming in that's a very, very interesting shout. But it's good that they're investing in new upcoming filmmakers. So it's what we want to see. Jamie, over to you now, my man.
I hope Frances McDormand is going to be in it shitting in a bucket. Can I just say?
That's what we all want. Jamie, for yourself, what makes this movie special for you?
It's so nice to be last this week. Not have to, I can just sort of articulate from what everyone else has said. It's good. No, it's just I think the points have been made very well, but no, it's just very like great to see such a realistic film as well. And I think the land is almost like a character itself. I think Nicole said her character is very passive, but like that sort of works so well. And there's just scenes where it's just like the sea, like waves for like and I just felt really drawn into that. I was watching it just feeling very immersed. So yeah, no, it's very interesting bit of filmmaking. Like it's just the way it's shot and stuff. It's really, really good. I feel like I can't really keep saying much more than it. It's just really good and I really liked it.
That's fair. You should be a professional reviewer. It good, me like. So the final part of our discussion with Nomadland, I'm going to ask the guys what are their favorite scenes. There's no point doing a standout performer because it is Frances McDormand, but our standout scene does deserve to be nominated. And what's the last one? And if it could win, if you take Best Picture out of the equation, what do you think is most likely to win for next? So we'll start with Connor. With what is your standout scene or moment from this movie?
Oh God, this movie in a lot of ways just felt like one continuous shot. If that makes any sense. So for me, it's hard to pick out one standout moment. It's probably the woman in it that Frances McDormand's character meets, who is talking about when, you know, how she knows she's going to die. And she's talking about, like, she's like, oh, but like I'm 75 and I think I've lived a good life. And that was kind of really like moving to me, because it was like, oh, like to be able to say, like, at that age, I think I've lived a good life, was kind of funny, because it's like this whole thing, like, you get, as you get older, you get wiser, but like I feel like we're all just fucking making it up anyway. So that moment really just stood out to me, and I thought that was a beautiful moment and really well like executed.
Yeah, I'd be in the same boat with that, because the fear of what I didn't realize when I learned that it was all sort of what's the word? Somewhat improvised, you want to say, or if it's all like with non-actors, like if that person is real. Do you know what I mean? And she really did die, which is kind of is giving me anxiety for the remaining time of my life to think about that. But Nicole, for you, what is your standout scene, standout moment?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if someone was going to pick that moment, but that's my moment as well. I love the fact that I think it's a really good look into the mind of like that kind of nomad mindset, you know. And she's talking about how she's just really like frank about it. She's like, oh, you know, I'm going to drive up to Alaska, had some good memories there. And, you know, I just don't want to be in a hospital. I'm done with indoors. I've done enough time indoors. I just want to be out, you know, in the wilderness, you know. I just thought it was a really lovely moment. Yeah.
Yeah, that's completely fair. Sorry, wrong button. And painful. And Pat, for yourself?
I mean, this sounds like a cop-out, but that's the moment I was... I mean, all the relationship with... Is it Shanky? Is that her name? I think it's Shanky.
Swanky.
Or Swanky. Shanky sounds weird, actually.
So does Swanky, to be fair.
But I love that whole... Yeah, I love that whole relationship, and I loved where she said, maybe if I die, someone's going to throw rocks around a campfire and think of me, and then they did it at the end. I just thought it was beautiful. And that scene where she's talking about looking down and seeing the eggshells from the swallows and how she could die happily then, it's like, I feel like there's different kinds of people in the world. A lot of people watching this will be jealous of that nomad lifestyle. Like I watched it with my girlfriend, and she would love to just hit the road in a van and live that way. Whereas I see the romance in it, and I would love it for a while, but I couldn't commit to living like that. And I think she summed up perfectly those kind of people who could be happier just kind of being on a river and enjoying nature, and that's all they want to do. And I think that was a really important scene to kind of, it was a good insight into that nomadic lifestyle.
Yeah. For me, I never found it appealing whatsoever. I found it like terrifying. Just the fact of having the shit in a bucket is going to live with me for the rest of my life. And that's just not my style. But hey, each to their own. And now we come to our favorite guest so far. And James, thanks so much, James, for putting this question in. And in Sean's case, it should be his favorite scene in the trailer. Now you've a lot less to choose from than we do. So so you have to be very more specific.
In the trailer, because I was just gonna say hands down shit in the bucket. Clearly. I'm not sure if that's in the trailer. That might have been in one of the trailers.
I think it was in the teaser trailer, do you know?
Yeah, that's right. Okay. So, Joe, I'm going to go with shit in the bucket.
Oh, my God. Chills. Jamie, for yourself?
Well, I was going to say the same as everyone else, but I'll go with a different scene because just to make it more interesting. But the other scene that really stood out was the ending, because she talked about like the view of like the you know, the desert and stuff, and then like I loved at the end how she just walked out into it. So it was almost like she's continuing. You know, it was very metaphorical, very nice. So yeah, I like that was a good scene.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. Right at the end. Yeah, it was pretty like the film as a whole is like the only issue I had with it was a bit slow, and it can be hard to kind of stay concentrated on it because there's a lot of times when there is a lot of action, there's a lot of looking at stuff. But then there is those moments where Swanky lets us know she's going to die, and then we get the scene with her later on with the bats flying out or with the birds or whatever, and you're like, oh, that's her effectively gone. And then once I did the episode with what's his name, Gary Deegan, and he told me it was all like people, these are real people. I'm like, she probably did die, and they put that in. So hard. Oh, but we'll go to, obviously this is nominated for Best Picture, that's why we're discussing it, but it's also nominated, as you can see on the screen, Best Actress, Frances McDormand, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Film Editing, Chloe Zhao, and Best Cinematography. Conor, aside from Best Picture, what do you think is most likely to win if it is going to win something else?
I think, right, because the obvious choice would be to go for Frances McDormand for Best Actress, but I think it could be in with a shot for Best Adapted Screenplay, because like what they did with us in its form and stuff, it's like what is real in this movie and like how much of it is fictionalized. It's like it's not immediately obvious, and like it might take a bit of Googling or research on the audience's part afterwards to find out what that is. So yeah, apart from Best Actress, I'd say it could be in with a shot for Best Adapted Screenplay.
Absolutely fair. Nicole, for yourself?
I would love if this won Best Cinematography. I don't think that's going to happen because Mank is a thing. But fingers crossed. No, Mank. Okay, we're done with Mank. That was last week. We're leaving it behind. I don't think Frances McDormand is going to win Best Actress just because I feel like the Academy doesn't like small performances, small kind of intimate performance. I could be totally wrong for getting, some Best Actress performance now. I would like as well if this won Best Director, just with what Chloe Zhao did with this story and everything. I think it's quite an achievement. So cinematography out of all of them, I'd be delighted.
Great shows. And Pat, for yourself?
Yeah, I think Best Director. I think what she achieved with the non-actors is incredible. A lot of people here said they didn't even realize they were non-actors, which is like just amazing. Yeah. So I'd love to if she won Best Director and Best Cinematography. I love how it looked. They'd be my two shouts.
Okay, perfect. And now we'll go to our Sean.
Well, there's some sort of mistake here. I can't see Best Trailer in any of these categories.
I ran out of space. I'm so sorry.
But that would be mine. Thanks.
Best Trailer, absolutely. Jamie, over to you now.
Best Director for me, absolutely. And I think this will win Best Picture. That would be my bet. I think it will definitely win Best Picture because I think it fits with sort of this new idea, Biden's America and all. I think it sort of will tie in for all that, which the Oscars always quite like to be topical as well. I think Best Cinematography, I would be very happy for this to win because that was my favorite thing about it was the cinematography. So yeah, that would be my shout.
Fantastic, cool. And then across the board, I think I know the answer is, but I'm going to put it all on Sean's shoulders to answer it for you as a group. Sean, does this deserve to be nominated for Best Picture?
Based on the trailer alone, Joe, absolutely yes.
You went with the popular choice.
I honestly loved the trailer, though. I thought it was a great trailer.
It was a good trailer. Seriousness.
Hey, no one's mocking the trailer, okay? Yes, and that is Nomadland, which I still believe is the favorite to win for Best Picture at this moment in time, but I haven't actually looked into it, so I'm not sure. But wherever you're watching, please put your thoughts about this film that we're about to discuss next, which I'm hoping Sean has seen, but if not, it's quite an intimate trailer anyway. So, but it is. Let me get the banner up. It is The Father. So straight away off the bat, The Father is nominated for Best Picture, obviously Best Actor, Anthony Hopkins, Best Supporting Actress, Olivia Colman, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Film Editing, and Best Production Design. Going into this, Conor, which of these names jumped out to you aside from anyone else?
Well, obviously Anthony Hopkins, Olivia Colman, massive fan of The Crown. I'm not a West Brit. But that's pretty much it.
Okay, but what did you know them from previously? What had you seen them in?
Oh, like fucking everything.
So what's your standout?
It's Anthony Hopkins and Olivia Colman, Joe.
Well,
it's not fucking like Bob down the road.
Okay, I realize that this is my job to ask these questions, but like I have to ask them, Connor. Okay.
Anthony Hopkins from that movie back in the 80s. What was it called? The Shine. Was that him?
No.
Oh no! I'm
Silence
thinking of Jack Nicholson. What did I know? I don't know what I know Anthony Hopkins from. But I've seen him in a lot of things.
I wanted pointed out, okay, that I was mocked for asking, like, oh, what's your favorite thing you know Anthony Hopkins from? It's like, oh, it's Anthony Hopkins. I know him from this.
Name a movie that Anthony Hopkins is in.
Silence of the Lambs, the world's fastest.
That's what I know him from.
Thor. Okay.
I got mixed up between The Shining and Silence of the Lambs. And then Olivia Colman, obviously I know her from The Crown, but what was the movie that she was in? She won the Oscar for. Was she playing Queen Victoria?
The Favourite. The Favourite.
Yeah, The Favourite. Yeah. That's probably the most recent thing I've seen her in, other than The Crown.
Cool. Okay, that was a strange way of answering all those questions, but thanks for taking part, Connor.
You're welcome. Thank you, Joe.
Nicole, over to you now.
So the question is, who was the standout? Who did I know from this?
Going into watching, where do you know them from prior?
Yeah, well, obviously Anthony Hopkins, Silence of the Lambs, one of my favorite films ever. And Olivia Colman, the year that she was nominated for The Favourite, like everyone was like, "Oh, she's not going to win. She's not going to win. It's going to be Glenn Close. It's going to be." I can't remember anyone else that was nominated that year, but no one wanted Olivia Colman to win, and I wanted that bitch to win, and I'm so proud of her. Yeah. The director, don't know the director. I have to say, love when I see Imogen Poots pop up in things. She's so delightful. I saw her in that film with Jesse Eisenberg, the one where they're trapped in that house. It's like Vivarium or something like that.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, that's a great film that kind of focuses on her. She's one to watch, even though she's been knocking around for years now at this point. But yeah, no, I think this film just sort of exists as a way to give Anthony Hopkins the Oscar. I'll talk more about that later.
Yeah, I think that's a very good discussion. That'll be coming soon. Pat, for yourself, going into this movie, who did you know prior, and what you know them from? And you're muted. You'll learn eventually. You're like me, Dad.
Yeah, Anthony Hopkins and Olivia Colman, two of my absolute favorite actors ever, and in recent times, two of my favorite movies have been The Favourite and The Two Popes. I don't know if anyone's seen The Two Popes.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Like Anthony Hopkins, I don't care if this was made to give him an Oscar. I loved every second of his performance, and I'll watch Anthony Hopkins being good all day. I just love him. So yeah, I was really excited, and I think it's the director's first movie. So
yeah, Florence Eller.
So yeah, didn't know him.
But you know him now, and now we go to the funny man who has to be serious because he's talking about a movie with someone with dementia. It's all on you. But Sean, Anthony Hopkins, Olivia Colman, and obviously there's Rufus. I always forget his second name. Yes, and Mycroft from Sherlock.
Mark Gatiss.
Mark Gatiss. Thank you. Yeah, I always forget his name as well.
Yeah.
So who is your going into this? What you know them from? What you previously liked them in?
Well, like everybody else, Anthony Hopkins, really. I knew he was in it before I even knew Olivia Colman was in it, to be honest, but from what I'd heard about it. But yeah, it seems like, what age is actually Anthony Hopkins now?
82.
82. And he's as good as ever.
Yeah.
So that was, I figured, he's a pretty good track record at this stage. So I trusted him to do a good job with the role. And he did. It was a bit of a downer at times, but we'll talk about it further. But I liked aspects of how they incorporated the themes and what it's about into the actual movie, like for you to kind of put you in the shoes of someone like Anthony Hopkins' character in it. But yeah, absolutely, Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, and Jamie, to see us out on this opening question.
Anthony Hopkins obviously is a legend from, what is it, The Shining, Connor, did you say? Very, very good. Obviously,
that's
Olivia
the
Colman.
one, Jamie. That's the one.
Obviously, Olivia Colman. I just love seeing her doing so well, considering, going from Peep Show to like what she's doing now is amazing. What an absolute! She's just such a wonderful. I don't know her, but like she just seems like a wonderful human being. Like, and then Mark Gatiss as well. So that was good, very good cast. Anthony Hopkins giving it a good performance at 82, obviously. But yeah, I do agree with what Nicole said. It's like it does feel like one of those ones just like we'll shoehorn him in for a Best Actor award at the Oscars.
And then Chadwick Boseman had to die, so he's probably not getting it. Before I get you guys' opinions, my thoughts are it's this film like really shook me and like hurt me because I work in a hospital, so I've mentioned this a few times on the podcast before that seeing patients with dementia is like a daily occurrence for me, or Alzheimer's or anything like this, or just feeble in different ways. But like seeing it from their perspective, and the fact that seeing it from the perspective of someone who has it and you are in their head, it's even though this would be straightforward, seemingly everything that's happening, it feels like a thriller. If you're everything is terrifying, everything is scary. You have no idea who you can trust. You have no idea who people are. Like people's faces change, so you can't recognize them. And the performance of Anthony Hopkins is without a doubt one of the greatest performances I've ever seen on screen. And that's not plamassing, that's not saying anything, because it's the most recent, one of the more recent great performances I've seen. But for someone of that age that's been working for so long to constantly reinvent himself is exceptional. But for the fact that you're brave enough to do a performance like this at an age where you're more likely to get it than anyone else shows an incredible strength of character and just professionalism and just performance, and just to be putting yourself in that position. And also the character's name is Anthony, which I'm not sure because it's from a stage play, Le Père, which was translated and has been performed around the world. So for the fact that him in this and everyone supporting it, because you can't have nobody having a good leading actor if you don't have a supporting cast around it. Everything about this film is beautiful. It does feel like you could like smell that it's a stage play adapted so much, but that doesn't take anything away. But it's not a criticism; it's just like a fact. And I found it very difficult to watch. I remember I watched it at 8 o'clock in the morning when I watched it and being like crying at 9:30 at the very specific scenes and very specific moments. And I think this film needs to be seen by everyone once. I would put this in a kind of a what you call it, like a 12 Years a Slave or what's the other one, Schindler's List sort of bracket of everyone has to see it, but just once. It's not a film you go, I need to see this. Not as heavy as those films because it's more personal drama, but it needs to be seen by everyone, and especially young people, so they can understand this incredibly disgusting illness that goes around and just destroys people. But that's my thoughts on it, and I'm looking forward to hearing yours. So we'll go to you, Connor, first. What are your views on this movie, even though I think we've discussed this briefly before?
I actually watched this movie in two parts because 40 minutes in, I was just like, I can't keep going with this. It's too heavy. It's too much. I watched it at like 11 o'clock in the morning as well. Do you know what I mean? The sun was fucking shining outside. It was like 2 days of summer. I was like, I can't cope with this. This is too depressing. But I really enjoyed it. I can completely see how it's a play, because there's aspects of it that seem like it's a play. But like when I compare it to like Ma Rainey's Black Bottom or The Boys in the Band, those two adaptations that were done recently of stage plays, those two seem like way more theatrical than this one, in my opinion. I felt completely fucking claustrophobic by watching this. I know that was probably the point. I know the audience were meant to be confused. What's going on? What's real? What's not? Like, who's his daughter? Does he have two? Does he have what? Like, what's going on? But can't deny that it was brilliantly done. As Joe was kind of getting to, though, would it be a movie that I would sit down and watch again? Probably not. Not because it's bad in any way. Like, I think probably most of us can agree, like, it's amazing. It's just, I feel like you have to be in a very particular frame of mind to watch and actively enjoy it for a second time.
That's absolutely fair. Nicole, over to you.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, the idea of like just you saying about enjoying it. I don't think you can really enjoy this movie and you would like most movies. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, when I was trying to pick out what were my favorite parts and everything, I thought I couldn't, there's no like real moment of like relief in this. I was trying to think, you know, like there's no points where things are, you know, it's a little bit more optimistic or anything like that. So I was just thinking of like, well, which were the parts that most moved me? And, you know, they were the parts that most upset me. Yeah, I think it's a really interesting movie because though I think Anthony Hopkins' performance is amazing, I think it might be his best performance he's done of his career. I don't think in itself it's like the most incredible film in the world, but I think I would agree with you, Joe. It is an important film to watch. It's one of those things as well where like I'm not sure if I would. Like, if you don't understand Alzheimer's as a disease, watch it. If you like are actively involved in caring for someone with Alzheimer's, do not watch this. It's way too upsetting. But yeah, no, I enjoy the film because of Anthony Hopkins' fantastic performance, and I never want to see it again because it was very upsetting.
Yes, absolutely. And like any great film, or at least great performance, it should have an effect on you that makes you want to either take a break from it or to look forward to revisit it sometime in the future. So I think that's a testament to it as well. Okay, Pat, on to you. Don't forget to unmute. I can see you not unmuted.
This is absolutely my favorite film of all of them. I adored it, every second of it. I could watch it again, no problem. I would watch it tonight if someone wanted to watch it with me. We've seen movies about this issue from the outsider's perspective, like Still Alice and Supernova, that are amazing, but you're observing it happening to someone and you're observing how hard it is for the people around them. This movie gives you it gives you dementia. And it's the most terrifying movie I've ever seen. I honestly, I was frozen after it. I was stuck to the couch. And so was my girlfriend, and we just looked at each other, and like her grandmother has dementia, and so she was like, this is so accurate, but it was the first time she actually understood it. And I was like, what a powerful thing to do through a movie. I've never seen, like, I understand people saying it's a shoehorn thing for Anthony Hopkins, but I think that's, I just don't agree with that. It had been a great play for a long time, and you know, getting upset about how good someone is in a movie is kind of, I don't understand that. I'm like, if he's amazing and the movie's amazing, just enjoy it for what it is. It's the scariest thing. I loved Anthony Hopkins so intensely, and then I hated him, and then he terrified me, and then I just wanted to hug him. I just was blown away, and by far it was my favorite of everything.
Yeah, I'd have to completely agree with you. I think what they're saying about it being shoehorned for the Oscar for Anthony Hopkins is, I think it's just more so that it's a vehicle for him, for the fact that it's a play and stuff like that as well, and it's been made for him to basically give the performance of his life.
That's okay by me.
Yeah, that's fine by me too.
And it was the performance of his life. I think.
Yeah, I think that kind of ruins the question I was going to put in. Like, is this the greatest performance he's ever made? But I really can't compare it to anything else. Sean, for you, what are your thoughts for this movie?
Well, for starters, I'd love to picture Pat's review on an actual poster. This movie gives you dementia. Okay. All right, let's check it out.
Don't forget.
Well, it was I really liked it, and it was a surprise to me as well. I'm glad I got the nudge to watch it, because otherwise I would have, to be honest, I would have judged it and probably not watched it, because essentially from the outside to me it looked like Sad Old Man, the movie, you know, and I'm like, is that my cup of tea? And I probably wouldn't have given it a chance, but I'm glad I did, and it goes to show how much you can do with just good material and like an excellent cast. And like I was saying earlier, and we've already talked about the way they use like the film format to give you dementia, as Pat describes it, but that is true, to like make you question what's going on. It's almost like a psychological thriller, but the bad guy is just dementia, I guess, at the end of it. But the way like they have characters, changing actors, and Anthony Hopkins like changing location suddenly, walking from one room into a completely different building and stuff like that. I just love that. It's kind of trippy, really. But it's not, from the outside, it's not what I would have expected. As I said, I didn't really know anything about this movie going in. But that kind of thing really kept my interest. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I think it was so skillfully made in that department to make you feel like you are him, and just by the constantly changing faces, like it is physically upsetting and distressing to watch a movie. So great shout. Jamie, for yourself.
Yeah, just like what Sean was saying there, I didn't know anything about this film, and then I watched it. And obviously, like you were saying, Joe, I work in adult care part time, so I've had first-hand experience with like dementia and stuff. So like this really, really like got to me. I didn't really know like the scene where like Elizabeth Coleman's character's changed face, like the actor changed. I was like, whoa, like proper, like it was really trippy almost. And like it's just such a clever way, like I think Pat described it perfectly. Like it does generally give you dementia, like it's just crazy. And I love the way they even the furniture changes and like the paintings disappear and like they move around the house and like they move it, like so subtle little things like that, and it just gradually becomes more and more confusing. And it, as you say, it's like a thriller. It's actually like a thriller. And it was so sad. Like the scene at the end where he's saying like he wants his mummy and stuff. I was like, Jesus Christ, that is like so dark and heavy. But like it was an utterly outstanding performance, and very, very good film.
Well, that's going to bring me on to the question round where we ask century questions. Standout performance. Well, I guess I have to add this one now. The standout performance in the movie again is going to be Anthony Hopkins. I know that, but we're going to look aside from that. Olivia Colman is kind of interesting. I didn't expect from watching this movie that it's a Best Supporting Actress nomination, because she doesn't seem to be that much more prominent than the other actors that are in it, like slightly more, and obviously she has a few more maybe dramatic moments, you might say. But were you surprised, Connor, that she came out with a Best Supporting Actress nomination?
Yes and no, Joe, because like, as you know, like I'm not a film buff in any way that probably other people in talking would be, but I don't know how the politics of the Academy Awards work. Like, Olivia Colman is now an Oscar-winning actress. So did that help her get this supporting actress nom? However, saying that, I think she was brilliant, but I would kind of agree with you in that, did she deserve it for this role? Like, I will never forget a couple of years at the Oscars when Laura Dern won Best Supporting Actress for Marriage Story. I think that's what it was called. And like, Laura Dern is an unbelievable actress, but she plays a fucking psychiatrist in that film. Adam Driver's and Scarlett Johansson's psychiatrist, and she sits there for 15 minutes and she's like, when I got a divorce, like, this is what and she got a fucking Oscar nomination for it. So I know that like these awards yield importance, but then like how much of it is political and how much of it is about the business of filmmaking and making money? That's not me saying that Olivia Colman doesn't deserve a Best Supporting Actress, but the second I read that on screen, because I didn't know up until this point, I immediately thought of Laura Dern. So I think that's a really interesting conversation that you could have for hours as well.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And that's a conversation that goes on, like what's legitimate and what's earned. Because every year there's better films that are not nominated for a multitude of awards that should be, but some directors or actors or whatever, their time just comes. So that's a very interesting conversation to have. But Nicole, for yourself, would you think Olivia Colman deserves to be nominated?
I mean, I think it's a great performance, but I think out of other performances that supporting actors have made this year, I think it just ever so slightly is kind of beaten. It's one of those things. I don't really know myself either, the proper politics of the Academy. I think it definitely comes into into play because she's won before, so therefore, you know, the Academy likes her, people like her, they have it in their head that Olivia Colman is an Oscar, you know, winner. And I don't know. Yeah, I don't think it's a very hard thing for me to say without me coming across cruel, because I think her performance and the character is really important and I think it's great. But at the same time, somehow it's just not as good as the other ones that have been nominated. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. Pao, I'm going to come to you. I'm going to slightly change up the question a little bit. You can answer what you thought of Olivia Colman being nominated as well, but on touching that, Mark Gatiss and what's his name? Rufus, what is it, Jamie? I always forget. Sidge, what's the second name? Rufus what?
Sewell.
Oh, it was you, Sean. Sorry. Rufus Sewell.
I was like, what?
Yeah. I remember you answered one. I can't remember what it was. I remember you said Gatiss. But Pat, on those two guys' performances, what do you think of them? And since they were embodying the same character up until the very end, when Mark Gatiss obviously changed, what do you think of their performances in this movie?
Yeah, I thought they were great. I thought, you know, they did what they had to do. They were menacing. That one scene where he starts slapping Anthony is just, my God, my heart just broke. And then the revelation at the end where you kind of, you know, it kind of hints that there was institutional abuse happening to him. I thought they were great, but you know, it is all about Anthony Hopkins and Olivia Colman, and I think she deserves the nomination. I thought she was fantastic. I'm trying to think who else is nominated for
Martina Bakalova from Borat, Glenn Close from Hillbilly Elegy, Amanda Seyfried from Mank, and there's one more I can't remember.
I haven't seen all those
grandma
movies.
from Minari.
Oh, the grandma from Minari.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, the girl.
For me, that's the competition. The grandma from Minari, but I think Olivia Colman absolutely deserves it. She's great, and I thought the two guys were great too. But it's really all about Anthony and Olivia Colman.
Oh, absolutely cool. Sean, for yourself, where do you lie on the Olivia Colman debate we're having?
Yeah, it's just I get what we're saying. You wonder, what are they actually basing this on? Is it just actually the performance? But I guess everybody else kind of gets sidelined by Anthony Hopkins. It's such a juicy role for him to get his hands on. And you just wonder, I don't know, you think they'd have a bit more to do. And like we were saying earlier, does it help that she already has an Oscar? And it's like, has she actually earned it for that role, or just like cumulatively over the past few roles she's done, you know, over the few years? But I'd say no, give somebody else a chance.
Yeah.
Go on.
Like me. Yeah, go on.
Me.
Yeah, I can do it. I can be a woman. Come on.
I pretended to have seen that first film, and none of you had any idea.
You didn't see it?
And scene.
Jamie, for yourself on Olivia Colman's performance, and you can touch on the other supporting cast as well. But does she deserve to be nominated?
Yeah, I mean, I think none of us are saying that she was bad at all. Like, she was great in the film, but like I think I do sort of agree. Like, would she have probably been nominated if she hadn't won the Oscar? Probably not. But I mean, I don't know. She was good, but Anthony Hopkins is like steals the show so much in this film. I didn't really remember a lot of the other characters, really, to be honest. I wouldn't give it as Imogen Potts a shout out, because I really liked her. I thought she was a great character. I loved the scene between her and Anthony Hopkins talking about how he used to be like a dancer and stuff. I thought that was a really sweet scene. And I liked how she tried to sort of humor him and stuff. I really liked that. So I think, the Oscars have always been a bit like that, though, to be fair. Could I also quickly say that I thought Laura Dern deserved the Oscar for Marriage Story. I love Marriage Story, and I thought she was a lawyer, not a psychiatrist.
Oh, shots fired! Shots fired here, guys.
Jamie, whatever. Didn't know this was an episode of Jerry Springer, but okay.
The Scots and the Irish are finally going to war. We've been waiting years for this.
No, not at all. Please not.
Okay.
Nicola Sturgeon versus Mary Lou.
We've been waiting for this all our lives. But to keep going on your standout moment, I'm going to ask you to answer these two questions in the one. What is your standout moment? What got this film nominated for Best Picture? If you can answer that. And also, aside from Best Picture, take that out of the equation, what do you think it's most likely to win at the Academy Awards? So, Conor, coming to you first.
Standout moment for me, it's probably a bit of a different one than a lot of people might think. was when Anthony Hopkins is being like abused by the boyfriend or the husband. I just found that so upsetting. I was like, I actually can't cope with this, lads. And there was obviously loads of touching moments in it where I was nearly in tears. But that, like, I watched this movie, Joe, 3 weeks ago, and I'm still thinking about that scene. And that was a standout moment for me. In terms of what else it could get, if not Best Picture, I mean, like best actor, Anthony Hopkins was amazing, but I do fall between Nicole and Pat on this. Like, I do think that Anthony Hopkins was incredible in this film. It is obviously a vehicle, and there's nothing wrong with admitting that this is a vehicle for him to win an Oscar, but like, it is, like, and that's okay. Like, he could deserve it. There's another actor that I think actually deserves it over him, but we talked about that movie last week. But yeah, I'd say if it doesn't win Best Movie or Best Picture, it has a really good chance of winning Best Actor.
Cool. Thanks so much, Conor. Nicole, moving over to you now.
All right. So I just want to give a shout out to the production design. Woo woo! That apartment is fucking stunning. Yeah. I was staring at it the whole time, like, oh my god.
There's such a like a little like James is having a shot here. I have to put Conor on screen. Conor's room background would not win Best Production Design.
Oh,
he's muted.
He's muted.
Okay. Yeah, you told us, Conor. He's muted again. This is brilliant. Okay, we'll back to you, Nicole.
I mean, if we're talking about room backgrounds, like literally the production design in my room is my fucking printer and my IKEA chair and my pillow that I've taken from my bed. Anyway, production design, a little shout out. Lovely. I love, as it was said earlier on, how they changed things slightly as the film goes on to confuse you. So I think production design, it could very possibly win. I think it could win Best Editing as well, because it's so seamless how things change and everything. And I don't even know, it must have been really complicated to like work out the timeline as well of that. Actually, it was a play already, so whoever wrote the play, that was very complicated for them. And I think Anthony Hopkins should win Best Actor. I should say and clarify, I don't give a fuck if this is a vehicle. I think it's a great performance for him. And if it's a vehicle, so be it, because his performance is so great. It's just that the film is so hyper-focused and only exists because of Anthony Hopkins' performance. And we're only talking about it because of what a wonderful performance he gives and the story involved. So I think that, like, I don't mind that it's a vehicle at all, because it's like, it's so worthy of being nominated. And yeah, there you go.
I love the most Irish thing when you're kind of, you're not sure if you've finished, and then you're like, I am, and just like la la la. So yeah.
So yeah.
So yeah. But beautiful point, Nicole, as always, and very well said. Pat, for yourself, standout moment, and what would it get nominated? What should it win aside from Best Picture?
I find it very hard to pick a standout moment. I was gripped from start to finish. I think when he has that scene with the carer where he's talking about being a tap dancer, and then just turns and stares at her, and it's the most scared, like he is Hannibal Lecter in that moment, and he just stares into her soul and like kind of makes fun of her, and it's like, whoa. That kind of stuck with me. There was a lot of scenes that stuck with me, though. And I think he's going to win. Well, I want him to win Best Actor. I just think he's a tour de force. I think similarly to Nomadland, the production, like the set was a character in this movie where plastic bags change color and just really minute details are always changing to keep you confused. You don't know which apartment you're in. You don't know where you are in the timeline. I think it should win Best Production Design. The editing, as Nicole said, was amazing. So it's no secret I'm a big fan. I wouldn't be upset if it won everything, but yeah, I just so yeah.
Yeah. Way to follow through on a joke. Sean, for yourself?
Yeah, I think best actor for Anthony Hopkins, hands down. And I think the standout moment, I think Pat mentioned it. It was almost like a monologue, basically, because he gets so much into a couple of minutes, and he almost seems like maybe he's not ill for a moment when he's pretending that he used to be a tap dancer, and then just flips a switch all of a sudden, and even in the same breath as well reveals that Olivia Colman's sister was his favorite, to her, and you can see she's dejected over that. Yeah, I
love when she says, she's the favorite. Go, no, I was in the favorite. That's where I won the Oscar. Queen Anne, remember? Yeah. Anthony, yeah.
Come on, man.
Comedy gold.
Yeah, that would be my favorite bit.
Yeah, and what would it win aside from? Is it best actor?
Best actor. Yeah,
best actor,
I think. Yeah, but as mentioned earlier as well, best production design, just purely for the way they mix it up. I love that attention to detail, the changes in the background, as that's not necessarily made really obvious for you, but that's if you kind of notice yourself as it goes on. I really appreciate that attention for the little things like that. So if there was one other, I guess that would be the one.
Good shout. Jamie, for yourself?
Yeah.
So yeah. So
I could do it. I could do it. So I could be Irish. I want my passport, man. I want a European passport as well.
We'll have a talk. We'll see. We'll have a committee meeting after this is over.
No, I think I wouldn't be upset if Anthony Hopkins wins best. Just to reiterate as well, when I said it, I think it's a vehicle for him to win. Again, it's an absolutely outstanding performance, and like he probably does deserve the Oscar for it. And yeah, I think he will win it as well. Again, best production design as well, because it's really difficult to make a film pretty much set in one place, and this does a really, really good job of like making that work really well, and like changing the set and doing it so subtly and adding to the story. So yeah.
He snuck it in there. He snuck it in. Okay, for me, my standout moment, it crosses a few moments because I thought it was a beautiful reveal because I didn't quite get it, and it took me, I think, after the film finished to really get it, was the kind of revelation that his daughter was playing the nurse, if that makes sense, even though we'd never seen the daughter. The only time we kind of saw her was when she's in the ICU ward, when whatever accident happened to her, when he's kind of starting to remember it. I didn't even get that then. I didn't understand that till afterwards, and it hit me, and that shook me. But I think also the fact that the mother scene at the end, crying for your mother, like in such a timid and such a such lost way, that for me is it, and that's why I think Anthony Hopkins should get the Oscar and has to get the Oscar, and that's why he is my shout as well. So if not best picture, it will be for that. And and before we move on, does it deserve to be nominated? Okay. It's like we're having some sort of crap answer, but I think Pat actually shook his head. I'm gonna go for a gentle yes.
Soft
yes. That's soft. Yeah, we're going for yeah. That's what we're going for. And Elliot's bragging that he can get an Irish passport. It's 5 out of 6 people. Yeah. From Candy Mead, good man. We all have Irish passports, bar Jamie, so we can all make fun of him over that.
One generation out.
Yeah, one generation too far. And so that is The Father. We are at the halfway point. Wherever you're watching, guys, thanks so much. Keep your comments coming in, keep your thoughts coming in. Subscribe to the channel, share this around, get as many eyes on it as possible. These last two films I put them at the end because these two are probably my two favorite movies that are nominated. Because although they're statements as well, they're narrative driven, they're character driven, and they were fun and fascinating to watch, and they're also connected in a way. I hope everyone got the connection, and I'm going to go with the one I watched second. Actually, I don't know why I'm going with that one, but this is the way I'm doing it. Judas and the Black Messiah, nominated for Best Picture, Best Supporting Actor. We're going to have to get in depth into that one because that one makes no sense to me. Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield, Best Original Screenplay, Best Cinematography, and Best Original Song. This it tells the story of Fred Howard, who was a leader of the Black Panthers, and I can't remember Lakeith Stanfield's character. I remember his second name was O'Neill, because the whole film I was like, oh crap, that's my name. And it was a story I knew nothing about. I never heard about this guy Fred Howard, aside from him being in Trial of Chicago 7 as well. But before we go in depth into it, Connor, was across the board, was there anyone you knew from prior movies in this, the start in this film?
Only Daniel, how do you say his last name?
Kaluuya
from Get Out, obviously. Have to say, was absolutely loved this movie in general. I know that's a different question, but he's a bit of a chameleon, isn't he? He's just so brilliant in the 2 movies that I've seen him in.
Yes, absolutely. So he's the only one you knew prior to stuff, was it?
The only one.
The only one. And Nicole, for yourself? And
Sorry.
you did it.
Sorry, it's like a 2-minute process for me to unmute myself. Yeah, like I knew Daniel Kaluuya. Kaluuya. I think
we're all going to pronounce it differently, so don't worry. We'll just call him Danny Boy, okay?
Danny Boy. Shout out to when he was in Skins. I think he played like Posh David or some kind of he was a character and he spoke posh, and that was the joke. And I think he wrote a few episodes of Skins as well. Not many people know this. And I obviously love Lakeith Stanfield. I loved him in Sorry to Bother You. I think he's just a brilliant actor. I also wanted to shout out Deborah Johnson, because I don't know. This is probably, it's the first major movie that I've seen her in, but I saw her in the TV show The Deuce. I don't know if other people have seen it, but it's written by the same guy that did The Wire, which is a great series that you should watch. And I thought that she was like almost like the heart of this movie. And yeah, great cast. I could go on, but those are the standouts for me.
Yeah. Pat Byrne, over to you. And you muted!
There we go. I'm so sorry. Before I answer, I just want to come clean. I got my second vaccination a couple of days ago, and then I watched this the next day, and the vaccination killed me. I was kind of falling asleep constantly and really sick. So it took me, like, no joke, 9 hours to watch this movie, which I feel definitely affected my, I didn't take it in as well as I'd like to have. But I love Daniel Kaluuya and I love Lakeith Stanfield. The first time I saw Daniel Kaluuya was that Black Mirror episode. And he's just amazing in everything. And he really was the driving force in this. I just wish I got to see it in one sitting. That's how I like to watch movies. But yeah.
But there you guys. Sean, for yourself?
Yeah, well, obviously the big hitters we already mentioned: Daniel Kaluuya, Lakeith Stanfield, who has perfected mumbling acting. I don't know if you noticed this. Almost everywhere he goes, he kind of like mumbles a lot, but that's acting, man. Also, shout out to Jesse Plemons.
Yes, finally someone.
White man, which is like his thing. But he's very good in it as well. But yeah, the cast was brilliant. Really, really like this movie.
Yeah, incredibly well cast. Well cast. Jamie, for yourself?
Yeah, this was a really good one. I really enjoyed this film. Daniel Kaluuya, obviously. Get Out is one of my favorite recent films. I think that's brilliant. And then Daniel, Lakeith Stanfield. I've just said Daniel. What am I going to talk about? Lakeith Stanfield. Yeah, Sorry to Bother You is great, which I don't think enough people have seen. That's a brilliant film, as you guys touched on already. And Jesse Plemons. I was trying to not call him Fat Damon because that's what everyone calls him that I know. So I was like, don't call him that. But yeah, he's very good as well. Really enjoyed it. Yeah, great cast. Very good.
Great cast, yeah. And it's Matt Damon, because he looks like Matt Damon on meth. I remember that. I could never understand that joke until I watched Breaking Bad, and I was like, oh, it is Matt Damon. He's exceptional in this. The first thing I have to get off the back is, how are these two for best supporting actors when it's their film? Like, did they think that Jesse Plemons was the leading actor? I don't understand how that worked. But I do know it's up to the production company to decide who is being put for what. And I guess it's accepted by the Academy. They can kind of be chosen either way. So, like, I remember at the beginning people were saying like giving out that they wouldn't because they're black actors that they were put in the best supporting, but it's the production company that decides this. And there's actually a lot of controversy around this film as well. It's the reason why bringing up Christopher Nolan again, I think I mentioned this last week, why he is probably not going to be working with Warner Brothers anymore, because they put all of their marketing into getting the Oscar nominations, and did none for Tenet. Main question, this is a far better film than Tenet, like in every possible conceivable way. So Christopher Nolan, get off your high horse, no offense. You're still a great filmmaker, I guess, but like this is better, and just accept it. But that's why. This has kind of broken the relationship between them and Warner Brothers, which is an interesting side fact. But on this film, my thoughts to begin with, this is one of my favorite films that I'd seen. I didn't know anything, like I'm saying, I didn't know anything about Fred Howard, didn't know anything about his life. The stuff that blew my mind was with the entire kind of, because I guess the thing I knew that would happen, because I'd seen Trial of Chicago 7 first. And when I heard Fred Howard and that, I was like, oh, well, he's going to be killed because that's what happens in the Trial of Chicago 7. But then I obviously knew that it was going to be true Lakeith Stanfield's character that makes all this happen. But then when it did, when I knew that he was going to have second thoughts, like just the performance of Lakeith Stanfield in this, which is very mumbly, as Pat pointed out. And was it Pat that said it? No, or Jamie said it? Who said it? Sean said it?
Sean said it, man.
Sean said it. I got to you eventually. Sean said it. Damn it, he got credit. Crap, I was trying to go through a whole show without giving him any credit. But his, like, in his movement and in the very little and very slight things he does, he conveys so much. While in Daniel Kaluuya, I'm going to say that's how you say his name from now on, it's more explosive. And even though there is intimate moments, it's a lot bigger, and it draws you in, and it made me want to be a Black Panther, and I'm going to make it happen. So I'm a huge fan of this film, and it's been a film that I've kind of recommended the most, I'd say, from these movies. But Conor, coming to you, what are your thoughts on this movie? And you're muted.
Sorry, I was doing a pass there. It was an homage. No, I really enjoyed this movie, Joe. I think when you saw me in person there a couple of weeks back, you were saying, I think you're really going to enjoy this, and you were right. It's the last movie out of all 8 that I watched. I watched it last week. What can I say about it? Obviously, without question, Daniel and Lakeith were absolutely amazing, incredible. I think that I'll hold my hand up. I knew nothing about the Black Panthers prior to watching any of these movies, because obviously they're talked about and referenced in the Trial of Chicago 7. It's just not an era of history I'm familiar with. I feel like a lot of Irish people and or British people might not be familiar with it. It's just not what we know. It's a very specific time in American history. So I really appreciated that. It reminded me of a book I was reading a couple of months ago, just before Christmas, because yes, I read books. It's called How the Irish Became White. And it's about how Irish people were objectified in a unique way that is not in no way comparative to people of color, but they were objectified and lived horrendous lives. A while back, they emigrated to America. They were in the quote-unquote ghetto with predominantly African-American people. But what happened was Irish people would have had kids. They grew up white with American accents. They were able to get out of poverty, while Black people just stayed there because you can't change the color of your skin. So when I was watching this movie, I was thinking of that book, and I have it up, and I was reading about the history of the Black Panthers. So this sounds really boring. I don't really have necessarily any criticisms or any overwhelming thoughts about it, other than I really enjoyed it, and I was grateful for learning more about something that I hadn't previously known nothing about.
Yeah, and that's absolutely fair, and that's an important thing that movies have a right to do is to teach and to educate. So that's a great insight. Nicole, for yourself?
Yeah, I just want to say that this was the first out of the nominees that actually had a bit of energy to it. You know, like I feel like a lot of the nominees this year have been very slow paced, very, you know, long shots where there's, you know, just music playing and all this kind of stuff. That's really been the vibe this year. So it was so nice just to watch something that had a bit of energy in it. And, you know, the first scene where O'Neill like steals the car and everything, was like, oh yes, you know, a bit of action. Yeah, I also want to offer a correction. I called Dominique Fishback her character's name, Deborah Johnson. The actress's name is Dominique. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed this film. I thought the pacing was great. I think Lakeith Stanfield's great in everything. Daniel Kaluuya is great in this. And yeah, just overall, like, really enjoyed it, and I think it balances the complexities and the kind of the nuances of the characters really well, particularly with O'Neill, because obviously he like admires Fred while also being, you know, conflicted and ratting him out, and, you know, he's still against the Black Panthers, and yet he thinks there's like some kind of distinction between the fact that he's not like with the cops, he's with the FBI. And that, I think it's very important that this film points out that, you know, the FBI are no better than the cops. They're just as capable of being corrupt, and they definitely are, with, you know, the horrific thing that happens at the end of the movie. And overall, thought it was a great film. I'd recommend it to anyone out there.
Perfect. Pat, over to you now.
Yeah, again, I had a weird time watching it, but when I watched the last half an hour straight, I was just completely gripped. I loved it, and it had, like, I'm sure the same effect it would have had if I was watching it normally for 2 hours. But I forgot to mention Jesse Plemons. I always love Jesse Plemons. He lives here in Austin. I've run into him several times, him and Kirsten Dunst, in like bars and stuff. So I love Jesse Plemons.
Do you go up and go, "Hey, Matt Damon," and then he's like, "Please leave me alone"?
No, this is really embarrassing. But me and some of my friends, like, we were in a really quiet bar, and him and Kirsten Dunst were there, like, at the table next to us, and we were quite drunk, and we were like, "How do we start a conversation with them?" We really wanted to, and we started singing the Owl Triangle, thinking that it would like spark up this Irish session, and they'd come over and join. But they just left the minute we started singing. So yeah. Big Jesse Plemons fan. I wish I watched this movie in a better way. I'm going to watch it again. But from what I remember, I loved. I was just out of it with the vaccine. So.
That's perfect. It's still better than, you know, Sean just watching a trailer for a movie.
Right.
So you're still not the worst on it. Don't worry.
True.
Sean, for yourself?
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. I think, like Nicole said earlier, it like had a bit of energy to it. Like, it was really, really good at building tension. Like, throughout this whole thing, I just knew it could explode into violence at any moment. And it was just really excitingly done. Even the first bit we were talking about, where he's stealing the car and the guy's trying to stab him. I'm like literally on the edge of my seat watching that, heart pounding already. And the whole movie was like that, though. I just didn't know what was going to happen from scene to scene. And I think it was hard to watch, though, because of that. Because I just knew this is not going to be a happy ending as well. So literally, I was enjoying it, but at the same time, I was like, I can't believe there's 45 minutes left in this. Like, this is, but more bad stuff is going to happen. I know it, guaranteed. Yeah. And it just makes you so mad sitting there watching it as well, which is an uncomfortable feeling. But that's obviously what they're going for. But like, especially the whole I've forgotten the characters' names, but the basically the main like love story throughout it, which I thought they really earned. They really built that up and gave it time. It wasn't. Well, obviously it's autobiographical, so like it actually happened, but they really did it justice. And I was just watching them thinking, like, either he's going to be arrested or shot. And in the end, it was both.
Yeah. So you were right twice.
Yeah. But really, really enjoyed the film, though.
Yeah, 100%. Perfect. Jamie, for yourself, to round us out?
Yeah, this is a really enjoyable film. I think it's the most meaty of the nominations, probably. Like, it was the one you sort of watch and you're like, I feel like this. I think I enjoyed watching this one the most. Like, it was, you know, nice, like, good bit of action, fast paced, really good. And like, I didn't know a lot about the history either, but like, I think I went and watched the Bill O'Neill in interview after, like the real life one, and I was like, what a performance. It's honestly like, it's so like similar to like what the actual real interview was. And that character, and he's such an interesting person because he's so conflicted. You never really know, did he believe in it? Did he have an emotional attachment to the Panthers? Like, was he in it for himself? Like, I think I was listening to an interview today with the director, I've forgotten his name, and he was talking about how like the danger for that character is he's apolitical, and it's very much about like it's dangerous to be apolitical. And like I think he plays that so well. And it was just great, really well shot as well. It had like a Scorsese vibe to it as well, and it also reminded me a little bit of Black Klansman in a way. Better though, I think it was a better film than that. But it sort of reminded me a bit of that as well. Both very good films. But
yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, the comparison with Black Klansman, of course, Spike Lee film, which I really like that film. But I do agree this is better and it's easier to engage with it. Do you know what I mean? And it was beautifully paced and incredibly well performed. I'm afraid to answer the question. But the kind of like considering they're two lead characters, but they're somehow nominated for Best Supporting Actor. Who would you give it to? Daniel Kaluuya or Lakeith Stanfield? Because I know one is incredibly favoured to win it, so I'll let you know who that is at the end, unless you all say them. Connor, who would you give it to?
I'm just going to go for Lakeith. I'm just going to go for the underdog. I think they both deserve a win. If they don't deserve the win, they definitely deserve the nomination. And I think it would be very interesting to see how that goes, because I think the voters will be pretty split down the middle on it. We could be looking at a Brexit situation here, lads.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay. That's our first Brexit association of the pod. Nicole, for yourself?
I agree. I think I'm going to go with Lakeith. In fairness, though, I just really like him as an actor. I think he's brilliant in everything. And he has this kind of like quiet intensity about him that I love. But I feel like it's going to be Daniel Kaluuya that wins, just because he's so brilliant at all of the like speech scenes, and he's brilliant overall. I just think that's more of a bombastic performance that people might be more drawn to. I was thinking more about why they might have went for the Best Supporting Actor, and it's definitely because if you look at who's nominated for Best Actor, it's Chadwick Boseman, Gary Oldman, Anthony Hopkins. Like it's really, really tough this year. So I reckon the producers were probably like, here, listen, let's do them for supporting actor so that they can win an Oscar. They probably think that their chances are higher in the supporting actor category if they have control over that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're going with Lakeith Stanfield as well?
Yeah, Lakeith.
Oh, you just like saying the name Lakeith.
I do like saying
because it's not easier to pronounce as well. Cool. Pat, for you?
Yeah, I thought they were both incredible. I think Nicole's right. It's a loaded Best Actor category, so the chances are just better for them in the supporting actor category. I think Daniel Kaluuya was amazing. He was so believable as that huge character, able to command the room. The speeches were so powerful. So I think it'll be him. I think he's going to win it. And but they were both amazing.
And yeah, Sean, Sean, for yourself, who do you think?
I think it'll probably, out of those two, I would sooner go to Daniel Kaluuya. I think eventually got it. I got the name right. I think. I think it'll probably be him because he's a more obvious pick. He's a bigger kind of bombastic, as was said, like orator role. He's basically the good guy, whereas acting-wise, though, I think Lakeith Stanfield's role for an actor is probably far more interesting because he's like very conflicted. Like he's ratting out people who are, fighting for his cause too. So I'd say it's pretty close between those two, but I'd say it would sooner go to Daniel Kaluuya.
Okay. I should have been keeping count. I have no idea how many are for each, but and it should be very easy. Jamie, for you?
Yeah, I would give it to Lakeith because I think he's the main character in this. And I kind of hate that they're up against each other because they're both so good. But like, I understand why. I think Nicole hit the nail on the head. Like, I think it's a strategic thing, obviously. But I would give it to Lakeith because I think he plays that conflicted role so well. And it's such a good performance of the real guy. But they're both great because he's like, I am a revolutionary speech from Daniel Kaluuya is just terrific. So
yes,
yeah, it's a tough one, but I'm going to go Lakeith.
Oh, I thought you were going. I touched from Daniel Kaluuya. Wow, because Daniel Kaluuya is like he's won everything. Like he's definitely win the Oscar. So anyone who didn't say Daniel Kaluuya is an idiot. All right, I'm saying it here, people. I'm saying it here.
We'll see. We will see.
I forgot Connor owns Hollywood. Shit. And the winner is Conor Burke.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
So we'll go around the table, guys. What is your standout moment and standout moment, standout performance? And if it wasn't going to win for Best Picture, what do you think it'll most likely win? Connor, you first.
The standout moment for me is probably maybe, I don't know, this is a part I really liked, was when there was this whole sequence with Daniel's character talking about we've got a snitch in our midst. Do you remember that part? And yes. They were all like gathered up. I think one woman gets sick. And I don't know, I just thought that whole sequence was amazing. I do have to say, I am surprised that this movie didn't get nomination for Best Direction. But I do think if it doesn't win for Best Picture, I think it could nab it for Best Original Screenplay. Or at least it's in with the shot, like a really good shot.
Okay. Very interesting. Nicole, for yourself? And you're muted!
For fuck's sake. I think best scene for me, which is funny because I realise now I said that I preferred Lakeith's character. Again, Lakeith, say it. But I do like, I think my favourite scene was when Fred gets out of prison and he finds out that Jimmy has been killed, and he does the, what is it? I am a revolutionary. The speech. I just think his performance in that particular sequence is brilliant. Just because even though he is, he's just great symbol and everything like that, and that's a positive thing for him. But he does have a pregnant wife, and he's basically giving himself up to be this martyr. And you can see there's almost like a little bit of a deadness there. He's just like offering himself up, and I think you really see that in that performance, that he's like, I am a symbol. That's just what I got from that sequence. So I think this is a really good chance of winning Best Picture. I could definitely see winning, and then obviously one of them is going to win Best Supporting Actor. I think the odds, now that you've stated the stats, it's going to be Daniel Kaluuya. And yeah, I think it's a good shout as well for screenplay too.
Yeah, absolutely. You going, Pat? Oh wait, no. Are you going to say Anya? No, we're not going Anya. All right, Grant. You resisted. Pat, for yourself.
My favorite scene is this. It's that scene where he gives the speech after getting out of prison, and not just because of how great the speech is delivered, but I mean, Lakeith Stanfield's character, you can see his confliction because this great speech is inspiring him, and you can tell there is a belief in the whole cause, while also maintaining eye contact with Jesse Plemons, who's also great, and his pregnant wife, who just that single tear rolls down her cheek, and you can see she now knows her husband is, or I don't think they're married, are they? But he's going to sacrifice himself for this cause, and she knows what's in store for her future. And just almost all the little things that are happening throughout the movie, they all take place in that one scene, and it's a really powerful scene, and I loved it. I think Daniel Kaluuya is going to win Best Supporting Actor. I thought the score was really good. I don't think it's nominated for that, and I don't know what the original song was. But yeah, I definitely think Best Supporting Actor and maybe Best Movie as well.
Ooh. Sean, for yourself?
I think I think any of the speeches really, but in particular the "I am the revolutionary," that was brilliant. An honourable mention to, I think it's the opening scene where we're introduced to Lakeith Stanfield's character imitating an FBI officer and trying to rob the car, just because that was pretty like tense as well. So that got me straight into it. Also, I think some of the cinematography in it was really on the money, particularly in one of the gunfights when they were going back and forth, up and down the stairs in the building that they were defending. I just thought it was nice and dynamic and energetic, like everything that was going on. So maybe that too.
No,
yeah,
100%. And Jamie, to see us out.
I think one of the most tense scenes is when he pretends he'd jacked the car and he has to turn the engine on and prove that could do that. He's clearly lying. That was a very good scene. And also, like as Sean just touched on, the first scene was very good as well when he imitates an FBI officer, because that got me straight into the film. I was like, yes, I'm ready for this. So I actually think the cinematography was very good. I don't think it'll win because I prefer Nomadland, obviously, but it was very, very good cinematography. I don't know what the song was either. And the screenplay was pretty good. So it wouldn't surprise me if it was in with a shout. I don't think it will, but yeah, very good. And then I think Daniel Kaluuya will win the best supporting actor, but I think I'd still give it to Lakeith over him.
That's fair. Sorry, James is back in with a comment. As an American awards watcher, I can attest that the Oscars usually goes for the one who does the most acting and not necessarily the best acting. Yeah, I agree with you. Seems the way it goes. Yeah. My outstanding moment from this, I think, is the scene between Lakeith Stanfield and Jesse Plemons, the time when it kind of turns. Both Lakeith Stanfield's character O'Neill is thinking, I'm going to be, I can't do this anymore. His conscience started to play at him, and he's like, that he will tell them that he is the rat. And you know what happened to someone who actually wasn't a rat. Genitals burned and stuff like that. So when he's literally put between a rock and a hard place of giving up, someone he's starting to believe in. And Jesse Plemons had the turn as well of having to be the bad guy too. So for all that, it's like that scene is like probably maybe the more dramatic, or maybe whatever way you want to put it, but it just hurt a lot more because the character had his shift. Then he was a good guy now who had to do bad things, but then continued to be a bastard after the film finished. And the character obviously in real life went on to kill himself right after his interview, which was playing throughout the film, was released. It's a incredible story. And the final question across the board, which I think I know the answer to. Did it deserve to be nominated for Best Picture?
Yes.
100%. Okay, perfect. Nice bit of positivity there. So we move on to our final film of the 8, and thank you everyone that has been joining us. It is hugely appreciated, and the love and support. Keep your thoughts coming in. And also make sure to subscribe and all those lovely things. But the final film we're talking about, which is probably the most stacked film, and it's actually the first film I have watched of these entire things. I thought Ma Rainey's Black Bottom was a Best Picture nominee, but it's not. So this is actually the one I watched first. Is The Trial of the Chicago 7, which is nominated for Best Picture, obviously, Best Supporting Actor, Sacha Baron Cohen, Best Original Screenplay, Aaron Sorkin, Best Film Editing, Best Cinematography, and Best Original Song. I'm going to go straight in. Connor, this is like the most stacked cast of any film for the longest time. It's got obviously Eddie Redmayne, Sacha Baron Cohen, Frank Langella, Mark Rylance, what's his name, Michael Keaton, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who's actually here in the middle down there. Thanks for joining us. Did he ever get back to you, Sean? You tagged him. Did he ever?
Who? Joe?
Yeah,
Joe, because we're on first name terms.
Well, you're on first name terms with him, and he just like, please leave me alone.
He doesn't know my name at all, but I call him Joe anyway. No, he never got back to me though. But fingers crossed. Go on.
Any day now.
And he can't be up too much.
Who is? I'm sure he'll eventually start a podcast. But Connor, of these many names I mentioned, going into it, which one was the name that kind of jumped out at you? What you know them from before?
So obviously I knew a lot of the actors like Sacha Baron Cohen, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, 500 Days of Summer, one of my favorite movies of all time. like virtually all of the actors I knew. I did not cop, guys, that this was written by Aaron Sorkin until the movie started. And I think I was telling Joe this in person. The Newsroom is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. Obviously the main character in that TV show is played by Jeff Daniels. In the pilot episode of that show, he's asked why is America the greatest country in the world. He goes on this 5-minute monologue about how it's not. I think Aaron Sorkin is a brilliant writer. Like, as someone who writes myself, I really look up to him. So when his name popped up in the opening credits, I was set, ready to go. So actually, the standout for me and the person I was most looking forward to in terms of involvement with this movie was Aaron Sorkin.
Oh, very interesting. Nicole, for yourself?
Thank you, Conor, for reminding me that Aaron Sorkin wrote this film, because oh my god, The Social Network is like my favorite screenplay film, everything of all time. So I think it really shows. It's one of his best screenplays. I was actually watching this with my boyfriend, and he was like, he didn't think it was going to be a good film, and he was like, wait, this is actually really well written. Who wrote this? And he was like, Aaron Sorkin. It's just one of those things where you actually notice the writing. And apart from that, I love Mark Rylance. He's one of my favorite actors ever, and I love that in recent years he's kind of broken into like mainstream Hollywood films. I just think he's brilliant. And Sacha Baron Cohen as well. I love him and everything, and he's really had just like a year where he's just like come back. I feel like he was gone for a while, and he's probably my standout performance of the film.
Oh wow! Didn't even ask that yet.
I know, sorry. That's why I said it so cautiously. I was like, "Oh fuck, I should have waited."
It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. Lisa Casey, Pat, for yourself. And you're muted.
I knew I was unmuted. Just give me a second. Why is everyone else so lightning quick with the unmuting? Anyway, I absolutely love this movie. I love Mark Rylance too. I just think he's so lovable. Similar to like Tom Hanks, I just love him as a man. Like, I always love when he's on screen, and he's great in this. Love Sacha Baron Cohen. Love Aaron Sorkin. I'm like, sometimes I don't like the Sorkinisms, you know, those long scenes where it's non-stop quick dialogue, and sometimes it's too much for me. I actually wasn't a fan of The Newsroom, but I love when he's good. He's like so amazing, and for me, this is him at his best. I know he directed this too, so in The Social Network, obviously it was him and David Fincher, and that was incredible. But this for me is Aaron Sorkin's one of his finest moments, and yeah, that's who I was anticipating too.
Oh, perfect. Sean, for yourself, and we actually have a comment up. That was actually Joseph Gordon-Levitt playing Sean Burke as Joseph Gordon-Levitt in the Trial of Chicago 7.
Yeah, it's like rather like Inception. It just goes
on and on and on till actually makes no sense whatsoever.
No, indeed. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely love this movie. This is the one I'd seen longest ago though. So I think I saw it at the end of last year. It was on Netflix first, right? That's where I watched it. I love Aaron Sorkin. I'm glad Nicole mentioned The Social Media. Absolutely one of my all-time favorite movies. And he's such a distinctive style. It's curious to see him directing stuff now as well. Although they're pretty, you know, the strength is still really in the script. And I was really curious to see what Sacha Baron Cohen was going to do with it. But there's always that comedian who's been very successful, you know, on the comedy side of things, who starts branching out into dramatic stuff. So he's blazing the way for me, is what I'm saying, Joe. So and he did well, so that gives me hope. But I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah. There's always hope. You know, if there's no talent, there's always blind hope. Jamie, for yourself.
Yeah, I love Aaron Sorkin. I love The Social Network. It's one of my favorite films. I also really like Steve Jobs. I think it's a great film, underrated film he did with Danny Boyle a few years ago. So no, I really like this. I saw this I think I watched this in December, so it's the longest one ago. So I was trying to think back to it, but it's really good. Really, initially in my list of 2020 films, which was quite a small list, this was my top one. Obviously now I've seen all the Oscar ones, but no, it's great, and like great character, great actors as well. Like so many good actors in it. I'm just going to no, I don't think anyone mentioned Jeremy Strong, so I'm just going to give him a shout out because I loved Succession. I thought that was brilliant, great TV series which he's great in. So I thought he was good in it. Obviously, Sacha Baron Cohen is a legend. He's great. There's just so many I'm going to forget the names of, but it's such a good film. Really enjoyable, really good fun. I know a few people are a bit are apprehensive about Sorkin directing because they don't think he's maybe. A few people have said if he hadn't directed this and maybe Fincher directed this, it would have been like a 10 out of 10 as opposed to maybe like a 9 out of 10, which is what I would give it. But I love it. I really like it.
Yeah, I had the most fun with this movie. This was the first one I watched in the Best Picture, as I said. The actors like Mark Rylance, I was lucky enough to see him on stage performing Jerusalem before I even knew who he was on Broadway in 2011. It was actually the last performance of that play as well. And actually John Gallagher Jr. was in it, who you might know from Newsroom as well. And who else was in it? And your man from The Office with the mad eyes that's in Pirates of the Caribbean. He was there too anyway. I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Stephen
it was
Merchant.
No,
the other one.
I know who you're talking about. Gareth, the guy who plays Gareth.
Yeah.
Mackenzie Crook.
Yes, Mackenzie Crook.
Yes.
Mackenzie Crook, yeah. And Mark Rylance, I was never so flabbergasted in a performance in my entire life. With him in Jerusalem, it was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. So ever since then, I kind of every so often I get drunk or high and watch him perform Shakespeare, and he's amazing. It's just beyond belief. And in this film as well, so understated. Everything is on purpose and it's wonderful. And Aaron Sorkin, love-hate relationship with him, but most of the stuff I like The Newsroom. I can never really get into it consistently. I do tend to love his movies though. Thanks so much, John, coming in late. Mackenzie Crook, yeah, but you got there anyway. You got it after we said it, but thanks so much, John. But his films tend to be the ones that really get me. So I absolutely adore this film. I think it's told. The editing, it's a nominated for best. I think it'll get best film editing when we get into that. How it tells the story and how every single thing, you have to pay attention throughout the whole thing, but it's funny, it's charming, it's soul destroying. It teaches you a lesson. It's everything you want it to be. And it's actually getting a bit controversial. It's seen as the right wing Oscar movie for whatever reason, but I think that's why people are trying to get people to not vote for it, so it doesn't win Best Picture, or it's like a bad film to win Best Picture. But we'll talk about that in time. But Conor, your thoughts on this movie in general? What made you love it so much? If you said you loved it, I can't remember what you said.
Really, really enjoyed this movie. It was probably the movie out of all of these films that I was the most entertained by. It was the most entertaining for me to watch. There wasn't really any slow, dramatic glances. There wasn't really any dramatic pause. It was really well paced. And the writing, as was talked about with Aaron Sorkin's writing, it's usually very snappy. And he's got a talent for listening to that tempo. I do think there could be a conversation about it around being just an ensemble movie filled with incredible actors, and that's the main selling point, because the movie is brilliant, but it's filled with an ensemble of a brilliant cast, and I'm not saying that I don't think. I think Sacha Baron Cohen deserved his nomination in this. But then, I don't know, I'm thinking of, maybe we can get into it as we go on, but, is there a lead in the movie? I'd say some could argue it was Eddie Redmayne, maybe. But there's a whole conversation that opens up a whole can of worms, Joe, about, okay, Sacha Baron Cohen got the supporting actor nom, but was there no one else in the movie that equally deserved it, and why was it him? So I really enjoyed this movie, in short, but I just think it's a movie. It's about a historical issue, and it's got an ensemble cast of amazing actors, and that's basically why it got nominated for Best Picture.
That's fair for being a very good movie.
Yeah, but for being a very good movie, but for being it's an ensemble cast of A-list performers, and it's about a historical issue. So it's like as I said, I don't know anything about the Academy Awards, but to me, like that's Oscar fodder. Like it's like that's Oscars on a plate. It's like amazing cast, historical issue, nominate us. Not to say that it doesn't deserve the nomination. I think it does.
It just takes the boxes.
It's just food for thought.
Okay, cool. And by the way, a very adorable, before I get to you, Nicole, sorry. And we got an adorable message from Joseph Gordon-Levitt in the comments. Just out of nowhere. I can't believe it. It's Joseph Gordon-Levitt saying, "Hi, it's me, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Just popping in to wish my friend Sean good luck. I put the font and everything, and to confirm that we are in fact friends." Now that's very nice. And it's funny how he used your name. Look, hey.
Oh, that's so cute. Yeah, because we are friends, so he's probably watching. Oh, that's so nice of him.
I'd actually be a bit worried that he hacked into your YouTube and is using that. That would be a concern.
It's this whole running joke. We go like, I use his photos, he uses my photos, I use his accounts. You know, we're pretty.
Yeah. Look, hey, that's why we're using you to get to him. Okay. Nicole, for yourself, what do you love about this movie?
This is my favorite out of all of the nominees. And I feel good that other people are saying that as well. I feel affirmed because, like, even though this film does touch on, obviously, like, you know, has a dark subject matter, it also has a really nice balance between the darkness and the drama, and also the comedy as well. I think it's interesting, the fact that Sacha Baron Cohen is nominated as Best Actor, and he is 100% helped with the fact that he has by far the most charming character out of like any of the nominees for Best Actor this year. Or is he Best Supporting? I can't remember now. Best Supporting. Like the character of Abbie Hoffman is incredible, and you just like immediately love him. So obviously he's helped by that, and like, you know, there wasn't a lot of writing that Aaron Sorkin had to do in that regard, because your man in real life really was like that, and a lot of the events that are depicted in this film actually happened. You know, they did dress up as the judge, you know, to take the piss out of him and all this kind of stuff. I just think that this is like such a great balanced film. It was really entertaining. And a little shout out to Frank Langella for making me absolutely fucking hate his guts. I was like gripping my couch with anger over this character. It was so brilliant, and I've never been so angry. Well, in, you know, as far as I can remember, like in recent times, I've just been so angry at a character. It's just mind-boggling that this was a real person who actually like behaved like this in the trial. Absolutely unbelievable and horrifying.
Nicole, on that, because I was going to bring this up, but on Frank Langella, I would actually put him in the shout for being Best Supporting Actor, considering the fact that he made, like you're saying, and I presume it's across the board as well, made me feel that visceral anger by mainly him. You know, we got it all off of him. So, like, would you have him maybe as a shout for that, or is it just because Abbie Hoffman's about real life, but there's more depth to, we'll say, to Abbie Hoffman's character, and he's less seen as being a cultural figure as well? What are your thoughts?
I would be up for Frank Langella being nominated. In terms of like over Sacha Baron Cohen, if we're gonna do that, I still think Sacha Baron Cohen does a better performance. But definitely Frank Langella does just a brilliant job. And I think it really works as well, just in terms of writing, to have this kind of, if you can't really fully imagine the kind of anger and hurt that you would have like in that time of like the enemy of like the overall like political like landscape of that time, you have this villain of this judge. You can just be like, oh, I fucking hate this guy, and you feel this anger on behalf of them. So I think that really works as well.
Yeah, say it.
And yeah.
Who would have thought that would have been? Who would have thought that would have been the catchphrase from this? And we got a lovely comment in. We nominate "Toxic" by Joe O'Neill for Best Picture of 2021. Open bin. It's so wholesome. I have a short film coming out, produced by Open Bin, coming out next Monday, the day of the Oscars, talking by Joe Neal. Subscribe to this channel and you will be able to be the first people to see it when it gets released. But Pat, coming to you, what is it that you loved about this movie?
First of all, I've seen Toxic and I love it. Well done, Joe. I can't wait for everyone to see it.
Thanks very much, Pat.
And another little lick arse moment. I think Sean's smile beats Joseph Gordon-Levitt's smile. It's a beautiful thing, and you should be very proud of it.
This guy, jeez.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
What are we talking about? A movie? I agree with everything Nicole said. I think while The Father had the most visceral reaction on me, and it's definitely going to stick with me the most, and it is my favorite, I think this is my other favorite in the sense that it's just a really entertaining, solid movie. The script is incredible. All the cast are amazing. I love Jeremy Strong, and I loved the part where he's trying to cling on to the romance he had with the undercover cop, and he's like, he's begging Joseph Gordon-Levitt for some information. Like, while it's such a heavy, serious movie, it's also really lighthearted in parts, and it's fun to watch. I was gripped the whole time. And yeah, I think this could win Best Movie. I think it would deserve it if it did, and it's a really solid movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Sean, for yourself, what is it that makes it stand out for you as being a great film?
It's just that Sorkin dialogue. I could just listen to it all day, to be honest. And as Pat said as well, there are really lighthearted moments. Like, he's really good joke writer in these movies. He can talk about really dramatic, important stuff and still have you kind of chuckling every now and then. And there's some scenes in this where they're talking about what happened on the day, and they're all, I think it's the one in the house where Abby, they're kind of having an argument, and it just builds to such a perfect crescendo, and it's just masterfully done. It's just every bit of it. So it is kind of Goodfellas-esque in a way, in that it's constantly moving. There's constantly something new going on to keep your interest. And the cast as well, as we've already said, is absolutely outstanding.
Yeah,
just top quality
across the board, 100%.
Across the board, yeah.
Are we missing someone, or has it just changed? No, we're grand. Jamie, for yourself.
My internet was fucking up there, so it may have been that. Okay. I missed like 2 minutes of the last comment, but no, it was great. Really, really. I don't know why people are hating on this film. A lot of people are like, "Oh, it doesn't really deserve to be up and stuff." But I mean, if I'm being perfectly honest, I think this is one of the ones I enjoyed the most, and it's just good fun. It's a good fun film to watch. Like, although it's quite serious because it's funny, and I love a good courtroom drama as well. So yeah, there's some really funny scenes like Mark Strong and people in the courtroom, but then there's also like the really serious scenes, like like at the end, like how it ends and stuff. Like I love. I mean, we'll come on. I think we'll talk about our favorite scene, so I'll wait. But yeah, it's just funny, and like I love Sorkin's. I just love the snappy dialogue he does. It's just, as a screenwriter, it's like what you want. So it's just so like fast. I really like it. It's one of the ones that, if I'm honest, that if the Oscars have been nominated, that I would definitely happily watch again. I'm not sure how much of these films that are nominated this year I would watch again.
What a face to freeze on, huh? Look at that. Look at that. It looks like he got collagen injections. Let's have a little focus on him. I'll mute him because he's not actually saying anything. Let's just look at him for a second. Look at those lips. Look at those lips, guys.
Oh God. Am I back yet? Am I back now? Is it working?
Yeah. You made some wonderful points there. It was really beautiful. You like the movie? We'll leave it at that.
Fuck it. Yeah, fuck it. We'll go with that. Probably better than what I actually said, anyway.
Nicholas Sturgeon is hacking Jamie's broadband. I think so. But yeah, for me on this film, I completely agree with what you were saying there, Jamie. That it is the most fun movie to watch. It's one that you can rewatch on a continuous basis and not really get bored. The dialogue is exceptional, and the direction on top of it I think is wonderful as well. And all the actors are giving their 100%, and it's so well thought out, and everything that happens at the beginning gets revealed at the end, and like the moral kind of ambiguity of some of the characters, because obviously Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, he isn't happy with what is happening, but kind of has to fall by the way and has to do what he has to do. Then at the end when he stood up, I was like, that's a bit too corny for me. There was like a moment like that, it was a bit too corny, where like he became the good guy. I've got a daughter, I have to do the right thing. I was a bit for me, but definitely the most entertaining of the films. Do you know what I mean? Definitely one I can go back to, and it deals with heavy stuff, but in a lighthearted, lovely way. And like Pat said, with the relationship that he had with the undercover agent, like, did she mention me? Did they sleep together? How long did you know her for? Like 24 hours? Yeah, so good, so good. But that's one of my favorite dynamics, and the relationship between him and Sacha Baron Cohen's character, so good. And so I do think he deserved to be nominated, if I'm being honest, because I think throughout the whole film, he plays that character, that infamous character, so well. But then when he has a chance to shine, when he's on the stand, he's great and shows the intelligence that is underneath him as well, which I think is under Sacha Baron Cohen, which is unappreciated as well. So I'm 100% on board for him getting that. But we'll discuss now. I want you to give me, this is the one film where I can say standout performer, and there could be an actual conversation, because every other one kind of has one person or kind of one or two. This one is across the board because it's such an ensemble cast. Who is your no Sorkin? No Sorkin digs, Joe. I wasn't making a Sorkin dig. Neil or O. I don't know if you're related to me or not. But who is your standout character, Connor? Your standout performer from this film. What's your standout moment? And what nomination would you imagine it could win aside from Best Picture?
Standout performer for me is completely Frank. What's his name? What's his last name?
Who would you say again? Sorry, Frank Langella.
Yeah, 100%. I actually, after I watched the movie, I watched the documentary that Netflix uploaded on YouTube. It's around half an hour long about the making of the film, and he started off full method. In that when they started shooting the movie, he was only walking through where the judge enters, and he didn't meet any of the actors. And a couple of days passed, and he just turned around to Aaron Sorkin and he was like, look, I can't do this anymore, because he was just enjoying watching like Mark Rylance and all the fellas like just doing their bit. So he just completely ditched the method side of things, and he was like, I'm just going to go talk to them. He was absolutely fantastic. What Nicole was saying, she was completely right. Like, I hated him. And as someone who's probably, knows the least about film on this chat, he's one of those actors that I've seen in so many different things. But he kind of be a character actor to me in terms of, if you walk by him on the street, you'd look at him and be like, how do I know him? I thought he was absolutely fantastic. In terms of what I think it could win, in terms of other than Best Picture, I'm going to say Best Original Screenplay. I'm sorry. Like, I started watching The Newsroom when I was maybe, 17, 18. And the thing I love about Aaron Sorkin is that he takes really complex issues and he simplifies them to an audience without making it condescending. Because I remember watching The Newsroom when I was 17 or 18 and not knowing anything about American politics or like how the media operates or the corruption. And I was hooked. And like I was saying about Judas and the Black Messiah, about how I didn't know about the Black Panthers, I knew nothing about this. And I was hooked from the beginning. Yeah. And I think it was just, it was so like absorbent to watch. And I just loved this movie.
Perfect. So what's your standout moment?
Standout moment is probably actually the first scene, guys, which might be a bit weird. You know, when you meet all of the characters and each character leads on from another, and it's like one character finishes a line of dialogue, but then it cuts to another character who picks up where they left off. I thought that was very impressive. But there was loads of moments that I actually couldn't possibly pick. Yeah, that's a sign of a great film. Nicole, coming to you now. Who's your standout performer? Who's your... Oh, he's back. He's back. Our Scottish prince.
Hey.
And I just muted him. Nicole, who is your standout performer? What's your moment, and what can it win aside from Best Picture?
Okay. I think my standout performer would have to be Sacha Baron Cohen. Don't know if it's the acting, don't know if it's the writing, don't know if it's because I fucking love Sacha Baron Cohen, but I don't know. I was liking what I was seeing, man. So that's my go-to. And I think my best scene going on from that, for me, was when he was on the stand. I love that entire sequence, and I just thought he was fucking brilliant. In terms of the nominations, I think this could win Best Picture. I just have a feeling that it won't. I think it's a shoo-in for screenplay. I don't think Sacha Baron Cohen is going to win Best Supporting Actor, even though I'd love to, because he kind of notoriously like trolls the Academy Awards every few years. He like snuck in his Ali G costume and went on stage as Ali G a few years ago. He spilled those ashes on Ryan Seacrest at the red carpet when he was doing The Dictator. Like I think he's mentioned before that he thinks that the Academy have it out for him. I would love to see him win in spite of that, but I don't think he's going to. And yeah, there we go. And yeah.
Did you say your moment?
Yeah, I think when Sacha Baron Cohen is on the stand near the end of the movie, I think that was my standout. And also, I think the end it's kind of neck and neck between those two, because as people have said, it really just builds. You know, it's just like it's just so touching, the moment when like Eddie Redmayne is reading out all of the names and everything like that. But I will say, I think Sacha Baron Cohen on the stand just about beats that out.
Okay, perfect. Sean, coming to you now.
Yeah, I think standout performer I'd probably be the same. I think Sacha Baron Cohen. I just think he's so charismatic and funny in that role. Obviously, that's half him and half the role, but I just enjoyed it every time he was on screen. And I think favorite, I think the moments, I don't know if favorite is the best way to describe it, but the moment that left the biggest impression on me, though, was I think is Bobby Seale's character when he's bound and gagged in the courtroom.
Jesus, yeah,
because that was pretty intense. And like, really, as Nicole said earlier, when you like, I thought I hated that judge enough already. At that moment, you're just sat in like stony silence. So that moment really stuck out to me. I think awards wise, yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't win Best Picture, but simply because it's Sorkin, I think it could get Best Screenplay 100% just for that wonderful dialogue.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Pat, over to you now.
It's very hard to pick a best performance. They're all so amazing. I love Mark Rylance, and he kind of is carrying the whole thing. Like, I obviously love Sacha Baron Cohen's performance, but Mark Rylance was amazing for me. And I love the way Bobby Seale and the Black Panthers were treated in the movie, like the whole way through. It wasn't the main story, but the way he just constantly reminded us of how differently black and white defendants were treated. And that scene where they break the news to him that Fred Hampton was killed, and he does the little monologue where he's talking to Eddie Redmayne, and he just says, all you guys hate your father, and that's what you're rebelling against. And can you see how that's different between a rope hanging from a tree? And it was like, whoa. And I just loved how that was treated the whole way through the movie. I think it'll win Best Screenplay. I think it definitely deserves to. I don't know if it's going to win anything else, but I love the movie.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Jamie, for yourself, what's your standout? If you're back again, baby.
No, what the hell's going on? I hope this works. My standout moment, definitely the ending. I absolutely loved it. I loved the I've totally blanked his name. What's his name?
Eddie Redmayne.
Eddie Redmayne, yes, Eddie Redmayne, who I've never really liked for whatever reason, but I liked it, his ending in this, how he like stood up and read all the names, like proper goosebumps moment, like, and I love that, like, that Sean's character stood up and like got involved as well, paid his respect. That was good. No, I really liked that. Like, and the judge just hammering. A really good Hollywood ending, like, you know, gets everyone like emotional and nice pay. Yeah, it was good. And I think as well, same as everyone, like, I think the probably best original screenplay. But what else is up for original screenplay, Joe?
Oh, don't ask me that.
You're the host.
I know. We mentioned him a couple of them already. Judas and the Black Messiah is anyway.
I just wondered. But yeah, so maybe win that, but I don't think it'll win anything else. Just because I'm very confident Nomadland is going to win Best Picture. But yeah.
And there it is. And the trial of Jamie's interest. For me, I think the standout performer. I'm kind of mixed between so many people. I'm gonna say Eddie Redmayne because I have the same thing where I don't tend to love him and everything he's in, but I love Mark Rylance. I love all these. And this was one where I watched where I was on board with him completely. The standout scene is that the revelation of we will give them blood. That whole and that where they attack the police and how that came about and how it's just through a mix-up in dialogue, a mix-up in what he was trying to say that led to that. I love that. And also the when the right wingers or whatever you want to call them attack the girl and trying to rape her, and then Jeffrey Sessions' character stops them, and then they arrest him, and he was like, arrest them, they're the ones who are actually doing stuff, and they didn't care. Like just loads of moments. And of course Bobby Seale's that whole gagging thing, which is fucking insane. That happened. Insane.
Crazy.
But that is I'm gonna wait across the board. Did it deserve to be nominated?
Yeah.
Yes.
2 thumbs up. Just for this one, comments just come in. It's Minari, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and Judas and the Black Messiah as well for Best Original Screenplay. That's a tough one. That's a very tough one.
That's really tough.
Yeah, I would give it to this, but I think it might go to Promising Young Woman, if I'm being honest. I think so. But this is where we get to the exciting part. This is what the people have been waiting for. The single-digit people that are watching this right now. Who do we believe is going to win the Best Picture? I'm going to go across to everyone. You'll have your moment to think about it and to say who you believe. You can say who you want to win and who you believe to win. If they're the same person, that's no problem. And put your comments in who you think will win yourself. So, Connor, you first.
I believe that Nomadland will win Best Picture. I would love to see Sound of Metal win.
Okay.
However, those 2 movies are probably my 2 favorites. And finally, I think Minari could be a dark horse.
Oh, really?
Yes. I when we were talking about that movie last week, not that I'm going to go on about it, but I watched it again during the week, and I feel like it's one of those films that you enjoy way more the second time that you watch it.
Yeah. Which Minari?
Yeah.
That's very interesting. That's very, very interesting. So you would put that as your dark horse, we'll say.
Yeah, that's my dark horse, but I think Nomadland will win, but I'd love to see Sound of Metal win. It's probably my favorite movie overall.
And where would Nomadland be for you? In your, like, would that be top 3 or top?
It would be, yeah. Sound of Metal is probably my favorite movie out of all 8, followed by Nomadland, followed by Minari.
Very interesting.
I think Trial of Chicago 7 was really entertaining, and it was probably the most fun to watch. But I don't think it will or arguably should deserve to win for Best Picture.
Oh, very interesting. Just got a comment in. I love Dave Dillinger's act as an actor. His face when he hit the officer was fantastic. Great moment. That's Trial of Chicago 7. Very interesting, Connor. Very interesting. Nicole, over to you now. What do you hope will win? What do you think will win? And you can say a dark horse if you believe you have on the ground.
I would love if Trial of Chicago 7 won. That's my favorite out of all of them. I just think it hits all of the marks. You know, it has an important message. Performances. It's also entertaining and it's not boring, and it's fun as well. And it also gets a visceral reaction out of you, and you know you have a thirst for justice. I would love if that one. I kind of feel like, and I could be totally wrong here, but I kind of feel like Judas and the Black Messiah might win. Just going off of trends of recent films that have won Best Picture, I feel like that it might go that way, and I feel like people might think it's Judas and the Black Messiah against Trial of Chicago 7. I feel like people maybe might deem Judas and the Black Messiah a more important film somehow, even though they're kind of the same subject matter. And if I wanted to be really cynical, I could possibly see Mank winning Best Picture, just because it's that big Hollywood movie. It's it's established director. It's a big actor performance. It's about Hollywood. I really wouldn't be surprised if Mank won, but I would love if Trial of Chicago 7 won.
That's fair. That will not win. Mank will win nothing, I guarantee you. It may be Best Director, but aside from that, it's getting fuck all.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm cynical.
Yeah. Wonderful. Eddie is in with a comment. Nomadland for Best Picture. Frances McDormand definitely for Best Actress, and Judas and the Black Messiah for Best Original Song. Fight for You. I don't know that song, but yeah, great shout. Get your thoughts in the comments, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well. Who do you think will win Best Picture? But Jamie, to you, who do you want to win? Who do you think will win?
I think my favourite film of the 8 would probably be Sound of Metal. I don't think it will, but I would love Sound of Metal to win, but it probably won't. I think, as I've said all of tonight, I think Nomadland is probably going to win Best Picture, but I think it would not surprise me if Judas and the Black Messiah was in with a shout, or even Promising Young Woman, because of the how topical it is. I wouldn't be surprised for that to be in with a shout. So I think that could be the dark horse, actually. But I would love to see the Sound of Metal win, because I just thought it was such an interesting film. Out of all the, it was something a bit different that I hadn't really seen before. But it's an interesting year for the Oscars, really, and it is good to see some of these smaller films that would never even, like Sound of Metal would never get a Best Picture nomination in a normal year, and I think that's great that it has. So that is a nice thing. But yeah, probably Nomadland, I think will win it, and Palm Springs probably. That would be that's my Best Picture of 2020.
I've yet to see it, but I've heard it's a great film.
It's grand.
Grand. James C. will win Trial of Chicago 7. Want to win Minari. Interesting. But Pat, we move over to you now. Who do you want to win? Who will win?
Whoops.
You were muted again.
My favorites are The Father and closely followed by Sound of Metal. They were very interesting and different, I thought, and they focused on a specific thing and opened my eyes, both of them. I think Trial of the Chicago 7 probably deserves to win for Best Picture, because it's just from start to finish, and the more I hear everyone talking about it, there's so many moments that are just amazing. The whole way through, there's so many great stories happening within this movie. I think it'll either be Nomadland or Judas and the Black Messiah, and that's me.
I thought you actually dropped the mic there. Done. Sean, over to you now.
Yeah, well, out of the films I've actually seen, I guess I'll make some guesses. I would like to see Trial of Chicago 7 win, just because, well, you've all said it basically. But I think it's just got a bit of everything, really. Like, great writing, great direction, great cast, brilliant story. So I think that would be a really deserving winner. I'm not sure it will. Weirdly, because I feel like how long ago it came out actually affects it. I feel like pointless stuff like that actually affects how films are perceived. Whereas I think Judas and the Black Messiah might actually win it. And I would like to see that win it. I think that would deserve it too. But I think that's more likely as a potential winner. Yeah.
Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. I genuinely don't know who's going to win. I think my cousin's messaging me now giving out that we're being too nice to Aaron Sorkin. I think it's buffering now, so I'm not sure which one. It's from the other side, Pat. No, not a McMahon. Did I ever tell you? Oh, no, he is. No, sorry, he's given out to me for not speaking more lovely things about Sorkin. The opposite way around. But we'll do that eventually. I'm going to put... Where am I going with this? I think Nomadland is going to win. And what do I want to win? I don't know what I want to win. I think probably Trial of Chicago 7 or Judas and the Black Messiah. I'm going to go with Trial of Chicago 7 because it's the last one I talked about. because it's a beautiful film, and or The Father, that also deserves it, but maybe not for best film, definitely best performance. But yeah, it's across the board. We're all kind of, I don't think there was one that anyone could stick to here, because everyone's kind of pretty much saying different films or what they think will win and what they want to win, but that's us done anyway. Thank you so much. I tried to get it done under 2.5 hours, and I'm hopefully just about to. Thank you so much for Connor, for Nicole, for Jamie, for Pat, for Sean, for joining over the past 2 nights, for seeing most of the films. And very much appreciated. It's been a pleasure. Wherever you're watching, please subscribe to the channel on the YouTube. Please find Joe Talks Pod on Spotify and all the things, to keep up to date with the continuously stuff happening. And James Seawood, thanks for the great video session. Lots of fun. We weren't here to be fun. We were here to be serious movie watchers. But yeah, that's us. So thanks so much for everyone for watching. Thanks for the guys here for taking part. Make sure to follow them. Make sure to keep in contact. Hopefully I'll be doing a live show over the Oscars again, but I'll be in contact over the week over that. So we'll chat then more. But until then, have a great whatever's going on in your life, and yeah, talk soon. And Jamie, nice one, Joe. Tell Jamie to give us a wave. Okay, Jamie, give him a wave.
So needy.
Thanks so much, guys.
Get that podcast edited, Elliot.
See you later, guys. Bye.
Yeah, thank you.